Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
You are now listening to the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
What's up? Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome back to Reconnected, here with Chris Higgins. You might know as Bearded Film Guy from Instagram or YouTube, but more importantly, we're going to be talking about his brand new podcast tonight. Chris, welcome back, my friend.
Hey, thank you, man. I'm stoked to be on another episode. I thought the first time was like a one and done. I was like, I'm never going to get a chance to do that again until you texted me, and I was like, okay, yeah, cool, yeah.
Well, even then, like the I don't even remember when we scheduled this, but it's been so long since we talked about it because I schedule so far in advance. It feels like it's forever too.
Yeah, that was like beginning of December because I remember thinking, oh, I'll be on before January, and then you were like, I got January 9th. I was like, oh, okay, all right.
And that was only because of a cancellation.
I'm a second choice, I see. Okay.
No, I wanted you as soon as possible. It was a nice win. Obviously, the big thing to talk about before we get into anything tonight, California's on fire. Do anything that you can to help, obviously. As far as I know, everybody that is friends of the show, whether they are generally watching or a part of it, or you know them from labels, as far as I know, everybody is safe. There are a couple of very close calls. A friend of mine that lives in Altadena, which a lot of people hear that name right now and get terrified because Altadena is basically gone. He lives in an apartment in Altadena, and somehow the apartment building is safe, but pretty much the rest of the town is decimated at this point. I've got 2 or 3 more friends that are evacuated still, that are keeping an eye on everything, but everything else, Jeremy's fine, Stan is fine. I know people are going to worry because Craig from Deaf Crocodile is not in the chat right now. He's fine. We just talked on the phone literally not even 20 minutes ago. He's just unfortunately not going to be able to be here for the show tonight, but it is crazy. Have you been staying up to date on everything happening out there?
Yeah, I mean, just through, I feel like half of what I saw on Facebook and stuff was a little bit of kind of fake news. Like a lot of people posting the Hollywood sign on fire and stuff like that. But keeping up as much as I can. I do want to say though, there is a YouTuber that I follow in our community, and his name is Hunter Bolding, and he's somebody that I followed for a long time. He's got a great channel, great collection. He actually posted yesterday that he lost his entire house and his collection he specifically said the Eaton fire in LA. He didn't post anything as far as like any sort of GoFundMe or anything like that. Just saying that is like, if you're not subscribed to him, go over and subscribe. That way we can kind of keep up on what's going on. He's the only person I've seen that I personally know who has been directly affected. So I want to make sure that was known. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I can't imagine.
Crazy. I mean, the amount of people that I've seen online too that are like, they're celebrities, fuck them, they're rich, they can just build another house, and it's like, not exactly. Like a lot of these people, sure, you may have seen them in 1 or 2 things, but they're not like rolling in money. And because it's California, a lot of people don't even understand. A lot of these insurance companies have just quietly canceled the fire protections from some of these because it's more dangerous. So they might genuinely just be screwed.
Yeah, it's insane. And I mean, it's very fortunate that I'm saying fortunate it's fortunate that there haven't been more lives lost. There have been 5 reported, which is unfortunate that it's any number at all, but it could have been a lot worse. I know me as the animal lover, I think of every, rabbit and whatever else is in the woods. I think of all of them. I think of the dogs, the cats, all of that stuff. But it's surreal. It doesn't feel real. Like, I don't have the news at my house. I don't have cable, so I don't watch the news. We went over to my mother-in-law's house and they were watching the news and seeing the endless footage play. It's nightmare material watching it from the other side of the country. So can't imagine,
I mean, even some of the bigger names that we know that has lost stuff, like Billy
Jeff
Crystal.
Bridges. Yeah, Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal lost his house, and they've lived in that house since 1979. Like, they raised kids in that house, and they've seen how many different presidents, they've seen how many different, ups and downs in their careers, and now the house is literally just non-existent.
Yeah. And I do think there's a difference between, we all see the celebrities who own 5 or 6 houses,
right?
Whatever. And it is very easy to say, like, hey, they can just pack up and go to their other home. Not all of it is, not every celebrity, is that way with their money, that they're going to own that many properties. But I know no matter how many homes one can own, there's always one that is sentimental, where you said you raise your family, you do everything. And even my apartment, which I don't even own, I pay way expensive rent on. If I was to suddenly lose this in some catastrophic experience, this is still home.
Right.
It would be unimaginable. So I can't even begin to really think about it,
Yeah. Josephine DeMarco, one of the comments we get every week, what she's been watching. Genevieve, Tunes of Glory, Choose Me, The Visitors, Day the Owl, Arthur. I think I've seen Arthur, but that's honestly the only one from this list. I'm dying to see Choose Me now that it's coming out on Criterion. You seen any of these ones?
Choose Me, I'm interested in. I've seen Day of the Owl, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah. Eugene Levy did lose his house. That's right.
Yep. Oh God, that sucks.
Yeah. All right. So again, like lots of terrible things happening out there. It seems like it's just been a really, really crappy year for most people I know. Somebody is going through something every day. It feels like my mom's car was totaled this year already. For those that are,
oh my God.
Yeah, my brother was driving it and somebody rear-ended them after driving through a red light. And like it shouldn't have been totaled, and they totaled it out. Now she has to go buy a new car. I don't know how many people know this. I don't think I even posted it in the Discord because it's been such a crazy week. My youngest kid broke his arm last Friday in like a really random ass accident.
All right, please tell the story if you can.
Okay, so it's freaking cold in Missouri right now. Like on top of, a lot of people know that we had this big polar vortex coming. Last Friday, it wasn't that bad, but it was definitely like stay inside cold. We were all in my kid's bedroom. They both share a room, and they've got one of those like over the closet door basketball hoops. And so we were playing horse, and it's not like a violent game. Nobody's running or anything. My youngest thought it would have been brilliant to put one of his feet up on their laundry basket just so he could be off balance and take a shot. And of course, it's a laundry basket. So the moment he put his foot up there, it shot out from under him, and his feet went with it, flew up in the air, and landed on both of his hands to break his fall. And his left hand, like, it wasn't under him or anything, but he sprung up and he was like, I'm okay. He does this every single time. But right after he said, I'm okay, like, he thought about it for a second and then started crying. And I was like, no, let's take a break and like, just breathe and make sure everything's okay. He was shocked. He wasn't going to move everything real quick. And then about 20 minutes later, we'd set him up with ice, and we're like, "Here's, drink some water. Here's some ice for your arm." He was sobbing, and so me knowing that he's always okay within like a minute tops, something was very wrong. So took him in. We had to go to one hospital, and it was the closest hospital. They verified through X-ray that it was broken, so we had to go drive to the children's hospital, and then we were at that hospital for almost 8 hours after that. We had to have an orthopedic surgeon come in. not like put him in, like, not put him under a deep sleep or anything like that, but they give him like some drugs to feel sleepy and go to sleep for just like a little bit so that they can realign the bone. Thankfully it wasn't bad. It was like a slight push. But yeah, everything is good. He's in a cast 4 to 6 weeks. He's going to be fine. Just crazy. So much going on.
Have you ever broken a bone?
He is the first one in our entire house to break a bone.
Okay. I've never broken a bone.
Me neither. My wife neither. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually, before we were recording an episode the other day, I was talking to Chuck, and the conversation came about milk and how I was part of what I feel like the last generation to like drink whole milk as a kid. Like, you got home from school, that's what our parents gave us.
Yep.
And yeah, I've never broken a bone, and I every single time you could stop me on the street and ask me, and I will claim that it was whole milk when I was a kid. So
that is hilarious. Everybody's sharing the experience of breaking bones in the chat now. Miss 45 on the big screen, jealous. That sounds crazy. Speaking of that, let's go into our normal recent watches and pickups. What have you been picking up lately?
Okay, so I did just get this because I'm not a giant media book guy most of the time because I can't read. Most of them are German, so I cannot read German, and I want to read the material, and I can't. I'm not going to sit there with Google Translate. But Cape Light was a company I was always aware of. I never picked anything up by them before.
Yeah.
I go on Blu-ray.com, and I picked up The Lover.
Nice.
So this is one I had never seen before. I'd only heard of it, kind of like doing research on other movies and stuff. And I actually watched this last night, and it looked incredible. And I actually really, really like. I do think I did open this up a little too far, and I kind of started hearing the creaking of the spine, because it does kind of feel like, I don't know. I feel like media books are tough, especially on the spine and stuff. So the moment I kind of opened it too far, I was like, oh, I got to be careful. But yeah, I love this setup. Just the little write-ups and all that stuff. So this was a fun grab, man. My first one from Cape Light.
Cape Light does good work. They've got good visual quality generally, and what they got in the media books, honestly, pretty damn nice. I tend to like them quite a bit.
Yeah. So that was one. Let's see what else I have up here. I think I talked to you about this the other night. I picked up. Do you say it Haxen?
That's how I say it. I hope that's correct.
Okay, so I picked up Haxen from Radiance. This is one I was back and forth on. One thing that's cool is when you get into something like podcasting, you really start diving into more films of like historical significance and more into things that are kind of like for research purposes.
Right.
And this is one that I wanted to pick up. I've never seen this. I have seen images from it. I know some of the most iconic moments, but to tell me to show me the images from this movie and tell me it's from 1922, it almost doesn't connect in my head. It doesn't feel that way. So I'm interested to check this out. This is a beautiful release from Radiance, of course, with the booklet, a ton of bonus features, great audio commentaries, all that stuff. So I'm excited to take a dive into this. And then my last one is a massive one. This thing's huge. I picked up the Art Attack Pack.
Nice.
From Umbrella. I am a little bit of a Terrifier. I love what it's doing for the genre, mostly because seeing like the birth of a new icon in my day and age is incredible. I do think Art is kind of a victim to the Spirit Halloween crowd.
Yeah.
Where people, like, my wife was at a convention recently, and she was like, some guy was wearing a Terrifier 3 shirt, and she overheard him saying, I've never seen any of these movies. I just bought this because I think the shirt's really cool.
What?
Yeah. So, but at the same time, I love these movies, and I wanted a pack of everything together. Umbrella does a great job with this, and I didn't get the super gusto with the glasses and the Lego and all that other. I didn't feel the need for that. But another reason was first of all, they're all on 4K. So All Hallows Eve, Terrifier 1, 2, 3, all on 4K, individual slip covers, a booklet, the whole gamut. But there's an exclusive commentary on Terrifier 3 with the makeup effects artist, who for the third movie was not Damien Leone. So I'm really, really, really interested to dive into that, because I think Terrifier 3 had some of my favorite kills of the franchise.
Right.
But this thing weighs like 9 pounds, and I don't know where I'm going to put it yet. So, yeah.
On that one, is All Hallows Eve on 4K as well? Because I thought that was only Blu-ray the way they advertised it.
I thought it was on 4K. Let me let's see. Yeah, and like that comment just said, I didn't see the name on that comment, so I apologize. But
Danny in Australia.
It is ushering a new generation of horror fans, which I love. I just, there's something to when you're like a little bit old. Like I feel like I'm in my 30s, so the trendy stuff, there's a little bit of like general opposition to it first, because you're like, it's kind of like people who have only seen Scream. They love horror movies, but they only know Ghostface and Scream.
Right.
And then that's kind of like the walls that they put up. If it's not like Scream, they're not into it. I feel like there's a little bit of that with Terrifier. But it is a great entryway, and I just hope that everybody who loves Terrifier does branch out and, watch more. Let's see here. Yeah, it doesn't say it's on the Blu-ray or the 4K. It just says
it's just there.
It just says the anthology prequel film. So I have no idea. If anybody knows for sure, correct us.
All right. So my recent stuff, I had, I was gifted a $100 gift card to Brother Belial. Go check out brotherbelial.com if you are after any boutique stuff. Chris brought up media books. They are the best and most up-to-date carrier of German media books in the whole U.S. If you want any of those fancy ones, they've got all the crazy art from overseas. Dustin is even carrying art prints from, I think it's pronounced Alon Sheedy, is the artist that has done a lot of Terrifier prints. And they have they're the only carrier in the U.S. of exclusive art prints that are autographed of these Terrifier prints right now. BrotherBelial.com. That did not need to sound like a commercial. I'm sorry that it did. But I tried to price it perfectly so that I could put in one order, because Brother Belial has, if you spend $100, you get free shipping. I had a $100 gift card, and I was like, I don't want to spend any money. How do I get this as close as possible to $100? And so I got these 3 titles. I got Cheerleaders Wild Weekend that just came out from MVD Rewind. I got this 88 Films release of Knife Under the Throat, which normally I wouldn't have bought an 88 Films release. So because it was a gift card, I chose to do it. And then I got in the one that I've been wanting for the last couple months, pretty much more than anything, the Nothing is Sacred Buñuel box from Radiance Films, with those 3, that I think is one of the best pieces of art from the entire year. And my total was like $101.97. It was the best outcome possible.
That's my favorite thing to do. It's to challenge myself with gift cards. That's like a sport. But that Nothing is Sacred box set, currently in a cart right now with Atomic Movie Store. So I need somebody to convince me to. I did pay off a pay in 4 today,
nice.
So that opens one up for me. Dude, Radiance is so cool, because there's so many times when I hop into, like, my wife got me the Dai Gothic box, and that has been one of my favorite sets.
Nice.
Okay, so listed as a special feature. Okay, so it's probably just a 1080p.
Yes, that Radiance box is the best release ever. Face the Movie says, do it, Chris.
Yeah, I need to do it. I'm just gonna whatever.
I'm just gonna do it.
What is that? What was that 88 Films one? What was the
it is Knife Under the Throat. I can't show you the back because there's a lot of nipples.
All right, it sounds like my kind of movie.
A lot of nipples. Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty decent.
They have been sort of a favorite of mine. I just picked up Eyeball in 4K. Loved that. And then I also have a pre-order out for their, I believe it's called Crime, and it comes out on the 21st.
Yeah.
I have it right here. It's geez, sorry, dead air. Love and Crime, which is, I know absolutely nothing about. I just read this very, very short description and sold. And I did the same thing with the Gaia Guts trilogy, or Gaita Guts trilogy.
Yeah.
Which I've been diving into. So much like Severin and a couple other labels, they're one that I've been loving to jump into blind. So
good stuff. Yeah. All right. So those are pickups. How about recent watches?
All right, let's get Letterboxd up here. So I watched something. You're going to be shocked that I've never seen this before. My wife did. Dude, I watched Whiplash.
Oh, good movie. Yeah.
Yeah, finally. A goddamn anxiety attack. That was like, I had heard that term get thrown around with Uncut Gems, and I didn't have that experience with it. Whiplash, the J.K. Simmons character and his performance is so good at it. Just kind of like has a way of calming you down, and you feel like everything is okay. Yeah. And in a blistering storm of a couple seconds, it's all not okay, and my heart rate would explode. And I loved it, especially. I don't want to spoil it, but especially in the end when that really comes to fruition. But the movie shot so well. I thought Miles Teller was great. The drum stuff is great. I'm not a drummer, but I can appreciate it. It's my favorite drum movie next to Nick Cannon's Drumline. So,
Drumline is fun. Ridiculous movie, but it's fun for sure.
Which I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen Sound of Metal. So yeah. I'm dragging right now, I think. I'm gonna get kicked off. It was a great movie though. I really, really loved it. And then today I watched a couple. So I watched Mausoleum from 1983.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I watched the Vinegar Syndrome release. That's a movie that has a ton of great ideas and a lot of great intentions. And it kind of feels like it's in the middle of a weird place for 80s horror where, it hasn't, 80s horror at the time still hasn't figured out what it is. And it's supernatural and it's a slasher and it's sexy and it's doing all of this stuff. And it doesn't put it all together great, but John Carl Buechler, his effects are incredible. So
always good.
Love that one. And then I finally watched the Arrow 4K of The House by the Cemetery.
Fun movie.
Yeah, I love that movie. That's to me essential horror viewing. If you're going to dive into history of horror and you want to watch out like what Shudder would call the essentials,
the whole Gates of Hell trilogy has to be on there.
Yeah, it has to be. And I actually think House by the Cemetery is very subdued for a Fulci movie. It doesn't go as far as I think what he's known for, but it's shot incredibly well. It does lean into the H.P. Lovecraft stuff that he was kind of going for. Not as much. I don't think it hit the mark fully. It's sort of there. But the gore is a whole nother level, man. Every single one of his movies, the effects aren't even great. It's just the way they're filmed and the effect. Well, okay, I say they're not great.
You're damn good.
Okay. Compared to, there are some movies that have great effects that look real. They look really great. You know what I mean? Okay, I lost myself here. Okay. They look real and they look really. Sometimes with Fulci, it just kind of looks like they melted some chocolate and some candy and plastered it on somebody's foot, but it works.
Well, and with Fulci, you can frequently see like the moment they switch out for the dummy. I mean. Yeah. Like City of the Living Dead, when she's barfing up the intestines, you can clearly see that when they switch it out. The drill scene from City of the Living Dead, you can clearly see. And either way, they're still like iconic, really well made shots, especially for their time.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you're comparing like if you want to look at effects in his movies, you're going up against like legends like Tom Savini, where it's almost flawless. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everything Savini did is flawless. So to look at a lot of Fulci stuff and kind of say like compare the effects, you really can't. But like especially when the babysitter death, when the blade is cutting both sides of the neck, I'm watching that and I'm like, damn, how did they? Because you can clearly tell it's not a dummy,
Right.
and I can't see, I just couldn't figure out how they pulled it off, you know. So I just appreciate it so much, and I love like when he's pulling when they're dragging the bodies away, and it's like ooey and gooey, and the hair is all matted, and it just brings this really gross sense to it. So yeah, Fulci, wicked stuff, man.
Good stuff. Any other recent watches you want to shout out?
I thought I had one more. Let's see. I thought there was one that I had in mind that I forgot when I was kind of going on that. Oh, yes. I did rewatch Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. Rough pass with that movie. I used to not like it. My wife loves it, so I watched it with her a couple of years ago. I enjoyed it a little bit more. Still didn't fully get into it, but the power of the rewatch this time around, I fell in love with it. Absolutely love all of the little tricks, how everything was done practically. It made me think of, in a different scale, but like what Nolan did with Oppenheimer, doing as practical effects as he could and kind of going back to the old school filmmaking techniques to pull off, especially all of the stuff in the bomb launch.
Yeah.
It kind of made me think of that, but there's these little moments like when Keanu's waiting for Dracula's carriage to come, and when the carriage does come, the carriage driver reaches out his arm, and it reaches out to normal length, and then all of a sudden it reaches out just far enough that it's kind of uncanny, and it grabs. Right. And there's a great little documentary on the Blu-ray that talks about how they just had him on a crane, which allowed him to reach a little further.
Yeah,
and it's like these little things that I picked up on. I'm like, this is so good, and like the storytelling. The pacing of the movie is crazy. I love all the different forms of Dracula. I love the production design, and I love that Coppola's son did all the effects. It's just really cool. Like there's a moment when forgetting her name. I'm terrible with names. Who is Winona Ryder's friend? I forget her name.
I don't remember either.
There's a scene when she's coming down the stairs holding the baby. And she's coming down to where the tomb is, and as she's coming down, the candles light. And I'm watching the movie, and I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, there's a little thing, and the lights to candles. It's cool. No, they shot it. They did it in reverse.
Right.
Like it's such a little trick I didn't even think about, and it gives this interesting movement to it. You know.
I think it is Sadie Frost who was playing.
Sadie Frost,
that
yes.
Friend. I laughed because you said, "Who's Winona Ryder's friend?" And Travis said, "Beetlejuice."
That's twice, man. We got to be careful. All right. But yeah, for rewatches, that's really been about it.
For watches for me, it's been kind of a light week, taking care of my kid and my mom, and working on some other projects that I'm not allowed to say the titles of. I've been doing one major project for Deaf Crocodile that they've announced, so I can mention it. Working on their release of the inflatable sex doll of the Wasteland. Which is going to blow some people's minds if you haven't seen it yet. The restoration looks incredible. It is a Pinky Violence film. It should be releasing in just a few months, I think. It's like March or April that it's coming out. Did a couple things for the disc on that one. Working on one more thing, and then we should be done with our part on that one. To update for last week I mentioned that my kids discovered the Night at the Museum films, and they loved the first two, so we watched the third one. I had never seen the third one. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't a masterpiece or anything, but it's very much the exact same feeling of the other ones. And then we even watched the animated movie, which is kind of funny because it's a lot of the same jokes, but they had to recast Robin Williams, obviously, and a lot of that they just didn't want to show the same people on screen, so they did it animated, and it wasn't bad. But
I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, it just came out like 2.5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So now there's 4 Night at the Museum movies, and one of them is animated. And then we've been, because I've been recording more and working on stuff late, I have been not able to watch like a full movie after a lot of those. So my wife and I are watching Veep for the first time ever. Hilarious show. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is incredible. Check it out if you never have. It's a fun movie, especially when you want to just look down on politics because everything is terrible.
Yeah. The political stuff I struggle with because I feel like, I don't know, you watch horror because it's such a detachment from reality.
Right.
And then you watch political, and no matter how outlandish it is, it still connects to especially what's happening today. And I'm always like, oh, this is hitting too close to home.
The Veep is hilarious because they just lampoon everything. Everybody is just an idiot, basically. And nobody is off the chopping block. They're going to make fun of everything. And you just better be ready because any character that you like on the show, they're going to be made fun of at some point. But the big thing, you are no longer on YouTube. All your stuff that was there is still there, but you're not making new stuff. Can we share with everybody why that is?
I mean, we talked about this a couple days ago, and YouTube was great because I needed an outlet to do this, and I had finally grown up the nerve to do it, and I was very happy with what I was putting out for a long time. And slowly that just kind of started dwindling. But what was happening was I was in the middle of kind of like a personal change where I was more focused on learning about movies and watching movies, analyzing movies, and less and less I was interested in doing physical media pickups and all of that kind of stuff.
Right.
And that's kind of like, I'm conflicted in ways sometimes how the YouTube community fluctuates and where it goes. And I'm never one to do anything for views. Never. On our podcast, we just did an episode on Spider Labyrinth, which is like the worst way to kick off a podcast about movies. We started with the worst possible movie we could have. So there's nothing I ever do with the purpose of success.
For the record, not a bad movie, just obscure.
Yes. Yeah, no, not a bad movie at all. But I mean, take a poll. How many people have even heard of Spider Labyrinth?
Right.
You know what I mean? So there was nothing about that decision that had anything to do with let's start this show off with a bang. And getting out of YouTube it kind of felt good.
Yeah,
it felt like I was making a change to grow into something new with the podcast. And ever since I've left, I'm able to support my friends on YouTube more than I was when I was actually on the platform, which is kind of a funny thing that happened. But also too, gone is the thinking about, what's a good video idea? Or what's a good thumbnail? Or comparing myself to other, which I know you shouldn't do that, but you do it anyway without even realizing you're doing it. So leaving it behind has been great. And what I'm moving into, what I started, I think is 100 times better than anything I ever did on YouTube. So yeah, I kept the videos up because maybe one day I'll inch my way back on, but we'll see. It depends.
Brendan says there's fighting between certain YouTube physical media people right now. I'm so glad I'm not in any of this to even understand what is happening. That sounds awful.
Yeah, it's... I don't know, man. You have this weird thing. Anytime anything drops, right? 7 drops on 4K. You have the people who get their review copies and they rush to get their videos out. And that's great. People need that information. And then you have people who kind of have counter arguments and are like, hey, look, this is not good because in one scene, in one frame, there's this weird little thing back here and it's targeting and it endlessly, I'm not even involved in it. I just have seen some things.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, this doesn't need to go this far. Can we just talk about movies Please, this is not a competition. So I don't, I just happened to get out right before that stuff really got crazy. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of people have asked me for stuff like that, but this is exactly why I don't do pickup videos. This is why I stay away from reviews. This is why I really only talk about things that I like, because if I say I don't like something, I don't need 27 people arguing in the comments about, well, you're wrong, it's bad because of X, or it's good because of X. Even now, like, I'll say I like something, and I still get comments every once in a while that tells me I'm getting paid to say I like a release. And it's like, if I was getting paid to say I liked releases, I'd be saying I like a hell of a lot more releases than I say, because I need the money.
But like, why can't people like just like what you like? If you think something looks great, then just
Right.
then let people be happy with that. Somebody messaged me on Instagram the other day asking me if I got the new 7 4K, and I was like, no. And they were like, well, I didn't say it like I wasn't mean. I was just like, no, I haven't grabbed it. And they're like, why not? I'm like, I'm perfectly good with my Blu-ray. Like, I don't feel, I'm not a 4K purist. It doesn't mean I don't believe in it, because there are times when especially when you're looking at older movies, it looks really, really good and it does enhance. But I don't need to spend $33, $34, $35 on a 4K. I just don't need to. Especially when you get into the conversation of like AI tune-ups and all that other stuff. Like 7, there was all these rumors about AI stuff. Of course, James Cameron is a constant target for. I don't even understand that stuff, dude. I don't even know. I can't tell you mostly anything about the restoration process. I can tell you a little bit about film and why certain film stocks look the way it does and stuff. I can talk about that, but like, when I buy a 4K, I don't look at I think twice in my life I've ever looked at the technical specs on the back of a 4K case, and most of the time it's because I'm looking for the friggin' year the movie came out, which they never list on there anyway. So I just don't. That's not what it's about for me,
Right.
And there's a space for that. Like, people need to do that. We need to have that information out there. I'm not saying that we can't do that,
Right.
but you have 1,000 people giving the same review on an item, just kind of turns into like that AI. Most people, how do people spot that stuff? What are we zooming into, like the background of things and
a lot of stuff? Yes, but the other big thing, what is the best way to say this? Because like, AI encompasses a lot more than people think. It's not just creating digital information out of information that isn't there. A lot of times, what is technically AI is an algorithm to detect issues.
Yeah.
And that is technically AI being used on a restoration, but then restoration artists are going in and restoring the issues they get detected. It's not an AI restoration, which is very, very different, which, funny enough, I think we get to talk about tonight on one of the releases.
Oh, controversy.
I think, or maybe it was last week. Let me take a quick look, because I don't remember. No, it is tonight. We will absolutely be covering that tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. I think AI, especially, it's involved in, so, like you said, so much more than people think. Gone are the days of somebody standing over a film reel and frame by frame circling imperfections to go into fix. That stuff's AI is using so much. If most people found out exactly how much it was involved in, there would be a major uproar, a major uproar. You know what I mean?
That is true, and for some situations, we will see it, and we'll talk about that in a little bit tonight. I promise. All right. So yeah, the podcast. Did you even see the name of the podcast? I think you should.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I didn't think we were there yet. So the podcast is called Beyond the Blood, a horror commentary podcast. And go ahead.
Link to subscribe is in the description. Please go subscribe. He's got an intro episode and then the first episode covering Spider Labyrinth that he just mentioned. Your guest was an idiot, but it was a good listen.
Yeah, worst choice ever. No, just kidding. So for people who don't know, because I've had to explain this a lot, which is okay, we are we name it a horror commentary podcast because we're not just breaking down and dissecting movies on our own. We're actually using the audio commentaries supplied as a guide through. So the first episode that is a true movie with you for Spider Labyrinth, a little bit of a different episode than what's coming because we don't have anybody else who's been on a commentary track. So, like on the next episode, we're doing My Bloody Valentine. We have so much to cover from what we learned in the audio commentary with the director that the flow is going to be totally different because I don't have the director there to talk about the commentary. So the flow is going to be different and it is long form. So it's not a show where we're trying to get through the movie in 45 minutes to appease people who don't want to listen beyond that. It's a show designed for if you love the movie, then you're going to love the deep dive we go into, whether or not it takes an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. To me and to my co-host, we're just hanging out with friends. And I can't put a time limit on that, I just can't do that. But yeah, we have announced the next 6 month slate. My Bloody Valentine will be coming out beginning of February, and then we're also going to be putting out a bonus episode for the My Bloody Valentine 3D remake. And
damn good remake too.
Yeah, really, really good, man. And I'm excited because with every commentary, not only do I learn more, but it just gets me excited to continue diving in. We're not even to the point. We're not even doing commentaries with like historians or critics or anything like that yet. So once we get into that territory and we're a little bit more established, I think that's when the real fun is going to open up I think commentaries are the most underutilized bonus feature by audience. I would bet most people would watch a making of documentary before an audio commentary. And I don't want that to die. I want those to remain, especially now when you can record it on Skype.
Dustin is asking, is it exclusive to Spotify at the moment or is it on every carrier?
So at the moment, I'm having a problem getting it on Apple. My RSS feed is not working, not doing it properly. I'm hoping to have both episodes on Apple by beginning of next week at the latest. So nice. All
right. So because of the new podcast that Chris has started tonight, after our conversation on announcements and what's coming out next week and all that fun stuff, we're going to be picking 5 horror movie commentaries or 5 horror movies that we would love to do a commentary for just because it sounds incredible and discussing those. So, stay tuned after the announcements if you want to hear that discussion. I want to hear what everybody else thinks about that because it is a bit of an intimidating exercise to think of because I know a lot of people immediately go, oh, like Halloween. Yeah, I'd love to do a commentary for Halloween. It's been done 11 times and I have nothing I could add. That honestly sounds terrifying to do a commentary for Halloween.
Yeah, it's like if people weren't listening to the infamous John Carpenter, Jamie Lee Curtis commentary for the first Halloween, then you're definitely not listening to my dumb ass do a commentary for Halloween. That's for sure.
I don't want to listen to John Carpenter. Ooh, Chris is on this one.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
What is a good film guy? Yeah, let's listen to that. All right, let's get to our announcements this week. And we are starting with a drug-fueled rage story, Crack House. This got announced from Vinegar Syndrome as part of their VSA line. This is from 1989 from the same director of Death Spa, Michael Fisher, starring Richard Roundtree, Jim Brown, Greg Thompson. This is scanned and restored in 2K from the 35mm Interpositive. We got an interview with the cinematographer on here, interview with the actor Greg Thompson, and then a 4-minute locations video about Crack House. This is the VSA slipcover, and that is Crack House.
That artwork on the back with the heads on top of the crack pipes is crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's wild. I know nothing about this movie, but I will say, as a loose Vinegar Syndrome fan, I actually like the VSA line over the VSU line. I think that's just a title assortment. So
It's also way more VSAs, so that is easier.
yeah, you're right. You're right. I think I have more. So
next one up is Hard 8 coming on 4K from Kino here soon. This is, of course, the wonderful Paul Thomas Anderson film with Philip Baker Hall in one of his rare starring roles. Also with John C. Reilly, Gwyneth Paltrow, Samuel L. Jackson, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Amazing movie. Have you seen this one?
I haven't, but that cast is crazy.
Yeah, this movie's incredible. Came out on Blu-ray from Imprint Films for the first time. Like 18 months or 2 years ago, something like that. This movie freaking rules. However, it does sort of prove that a lot of the stuff that comes to Imprint that a lot of us are like, yeah, we got to buy this and shit, it's going to be like $35, but I finally get this on Blu-ray. If you hang out a little bit, it'll probably come out on Kino about a year and a half later, and you can either get the same Blu-ray or a 4K even. This movie is stupendous for anybody that's not seen this.
I would love to see the workload of Kino Lorber on a daily basis. Like, I just want to get a look at their calendar, like their production calendar. It's insane how much they're working on and how much they're pumping out on a daily basis.
Can you imagine that? Like every Friday, they probably have like 17 titles due.
Yeah, like I would just like I mean, to have a complete Kino Lorber collection, it would be.
Would be a museum.
Are people going for that? Is there anybody out there going for a complete Kino collection? Because my hat's off to you. I can't even keep up. There's stuff that comes out on Kino that I like. When they announced Blown Away, they announced they were working on it, and then to release, I totally forgot about it until I walked into a Barnes and Noble and I found it, and I was like, when the hell did Kino pump this out?
Yeah, that happens often.
Man,
great movie though. Philip Baker Hall, rest in peace. Philip Seymour Hoffman, rest in peace, both of them. Incredible. Not everything from Kino is amazing, though. They're also putting out Repo Men from 2010 on 4K. This is the Forrest Whitaker and Jude Law film. Also has Liev Schreiber in this and RZA. I don't think I ever finished this movie.
Yeah, I watched this not too long ago. And it was... this was part of that era where everything was way too long. Like, people complain about the length of movies now, and I don't think they went through this time in like 2008 to like 2011 when this movie could have been 90 minutes. It could have been great. And no, this movie's like 2 hours long for some reason, and it drags hard. So yeah. As Paul said, it's definitely better in the second half, but I would just watch the original. Yeah.
Street Trash is now available from Vinegar Syndrome as part of their VSP line. This is the 2024 Street Trash, not the original 80s Street Trash. This is done by Ryan Kruger, who directed Fried Berry just a couple years ago. This is shot on 35 millimeter. It was finished in 4K, and then they downscaled it to put it out on Blu-ray. Why? Not sure. They absolutely could have put this out on 4K. The sad part, in 2 or 3 years, they very well could put this out on 4K and be like, look what we upgraded. You can get the new Street Trash on 4K. This movie has a commentary with Ryan Kruger and some of the actors and those involved. We got an interview with the screenwriter from the original Street Trash and then the executive producer from the new Street Trash. The producer, Justin Martell, talks about reimagining the cult classic, some behind-the-scenes featurettes, Street Trash music video, deleted scenes, all that other stuff. All that to say, have you seen this new version of Street Trash yet?
So I haven't, and I'm excited too. I did not buy this. I thought it was really weird that it came out on Blu-ray, even though it could be a 4K. Sorry, I paused. I had a little bit of a brain thing there. I have a giant attachment to the original Street Trash, and the moment they announced this, I was like, okay, if anybody's going to do it, it's Ryan Kruger. And then I kind of saw them changing the location, to South Africa instead of New York, and changing a lot of stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be open-minded. And the trailers sold me. This did not, because I don't know. I don't know why just do a Blu-ray. Like I said, I'm not a 4K purist, but 35 millimeter in 4K would look absolutely incredible. And I just kind of feel undersold by this a little bit.
I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah.
I will say I did get to watch this, and this movie is hot freaking garbage. I would never pay more than -$5 for this. Genuinely. I think to own this, they would have to pay me. I think this was the second worst film of 2024 by a long shot. The practical effects are very good, but that's it. It's like they understood that they could do good practical effects and said, well, what can we do to sell them? Let's put the street trash name on it. Unfortunately, it's not like the original. It's not a good story. It's half-hacked. It's not even like half-assed acted. It's just not good.
So I heard that. Okay, my brother-in-law told me how bad this movie was, and I honestly, that was on my head when we. Yeah, this is actual trash. I haven't seen it.
Oh man.
But I heard this was bad, and I didn't know how honest we were being when we were going through these announcements.
We're being honest.
Okay,
I never lie.
Okay, all right. If we're gonna go 100%, the original being, here's a bunch of hobos in New York that drink a bad batch of the Tenafly Pit Viper. And it turns, they start melting, and the fact that there is a man's dick who gets lopped off and they play catch with it. Like in
a junkyard, you can't leave that out.
Yeah, in a junkyard. Every opportunity to do a remake was there, especially with the advancement in practical effects. And it did not have to turn into whatever the serum was called from Reanimator in a lab. And I don't know what South Africa has to do with any of this, but it just not way overcomplicated it. And I haven't even seen the movie. So.
Again, the practical effects are genuinely stupendous. Ryan Coogler is great at that. However, you should probably not be making movies. Just be a special effects creator. That's totally fine. Team up with somebody who can write and direct good movies, and you would be an incredible team. Completely support that.
Am I wrong in thinking that Ryan Coogler is sort of like our modern day Jason Eisner with Hobo with a Shotgun and then Kids vs. Aliens, where there's a lot of cool ideas there, but it just doesn't really,
I kind of love Hobo with the Shotgun.
Yeah, I kind of do too. And Kids vs. Aliens wasn't anywhere near kind of what I thought I was expecting. I was just curious. It was just something that came to mind. I had to ask.
I mean, it's a possible. I mean, you could look at it too as Savini, who didn't direct a lot, and who has realized, hey, maybe I should just do effects.
Yeah, could be. I mean, I will say though, good call, Vinegar Syndrome on the commentary. I appreciate the effort there.
Yeah, at least they're still putting extras.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's and that
trash.
That looks cool. Okay. That's cool packaging.
Yeah, I completely agree.
We'll see. That'll look good next to the bare bones Synapse release of the original.
Although they are working on a 4K, so hopefully we'll see that before 2028. All right, going to the next one. Here's a good movie from Kino. Kino is releasing Inside Man on 4K here hopefully soon. This is the 2006 really great movie starring Denzel and Clive Owen and Jodie Foster, Christopher Plummer, Willem Dafoe, Chiwetel Ejiofor, I believe is how you say his last name. But of course, it's a Spike Lee film, and this is fantastic. I haven't seen this in a long time. Can't wait to see this 4K.
I will say this movie is the reason why if I'm sitting in a waiting room too long or I'm sitting anywhere for too long, I wonder if I can replicate that wall and live behind it for a little while. And I do it all the time. It's just my brain just will click to Inside Man every now and again.
Smart. Then they made a lot of people upset this week by announcing The Snowman from 2017 coming on 4K. This is the same director that did Let the Right One In and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and some other stuff. This supposedly was not even fully completed, I think. I never got to see this, but that's the story that I've heard.
Dude, that first comment is crazy. Did they go back and film the scenes they forgot the first time around?
Oh, man.
No, I've never seen this. I just heard that it was incomplete. Like, that's all I heard. So I never gave it another. Oh.
Dustin says it's fantastic and to fight him.
And to fight him.
I love that Ben goes from Kino bringing the heat to Kino bringing the
oh jeez. This is a typical Kino announcement reaction, I think. You know,
there are so many Kino announcements tonight too. It's crazy. There's so much to cover from them.
You know, sometimes I think they just get handed a batch and they're like, put all these out. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, part of the deal is you're going to put out this, and you're going to put out this piece of garbage, and you're going to put out this piece of cinema history.
To be fair, if I got told I could have, I'm owning a label, and I get told I can do the definitive release of the Inside Man, but also you have to release the Snowman. Yeah, I'm probably going to release them both because it's fucking Inside Man.
Yeah, exactly. And you're going to the sales of Inside Man alone are going to make up for, the Snowman anyway. The lack of sales, or this movie could have. I haven't seen it. It could have a resurgence. It is very popular to revisit what we once claimed as bad movies, and who knows.
Colton says, "I hear the Snowman was worse than trash."
It was snow trash.
And then, of course, the character in this movie, his name is legitimately Harry Hole.
Harry Hole?
You're allowed to laugh. I heard that.
Harry Hole.
Yep.
All right. Like, yeah, that's the plot of the movie. Oh my god, I'm not going to get into it. Rebecca Ferguson is in this though. Val Kilmer, Chloe Sevilla. Man, and it was shot. Oh my god. Okay. Look at all the talent here. How does this Marco Beltrami on the score? You can tell though that the caption here is like trying to sell you if you've never seen this before. So like, look at the talent.
Right.
So who knows?
All right, that is the Snowman. Then Vinegar Syndrome, as part of their VSL line, released the Terrornauts from 1967. This is an Amicus film. Here is the back of the slip. This is directed by Montgomery Tully. It's a newly scanned and restored in 4K from the OCN. A commentary with author and film historian Brian Hannon. There's an interview with the writer and film critic Kim Newman on this, and then some archival interviews. I have heard that this is a very good movie, one that I definitely want to pick up eventually. I love the way this cover looks, and I also really like the stuff from Amicus. So I will likely be checking this out eventually.
Yeah, this is cool. I wasn't expecting this during this week. I didn't really have any like anticipations of what they were going to put out, but this was as far away than I could have expected. No, it wasn't at all. And that cover is incredible alone. Like this is a blind buy for me, 100% sold just on the art alone.
I love the back too.
Yeah, that's incredible. And this era too, this is kind of like 60s, 70s, these B sci-fi movies is a big blank space for me that I want to get into. And I think that this is a good entry point, you know?
Looks like it to me. Moving right along, Arrow launched their 50% off sale at Barnes & Noble. This will likely end on February 2nd. I've not been able to confirm that yet, but if you can't shop at Barnes & Noble, for example, if you are international or something like that, Amazon is price matching pretty much everything that's on sale at Barnes & Noble. The other big thing, keep in mind at Barnes & Noble, if stuff goes up for sale and it releases during the sale period, it's already 50% off. So you can pre-order it at 50% off. So there's some good titles coming out this month, like Inglourious Bastards just released. There's a couple others. Check those, or maybe Inglourious Bastards is next week. It is
the the 21st, I think.
It is next Tuesday. We're going to be talking about that one tonight.
Okay, and it's $25 right now on Barnes and Noble. So I would jump on
4K.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn good stuff. If you are into Arrow, this is basically as good as the price gets, especially for limited edition stuff. Shawscope Volume 3 is $100 right now, which is pretty decent. I know there was a pricing error on the Arrow website this week, and a lot of people got stuff much cheaper, but obviously you can't expect that. So keep in mind, these are about as good as you're going to get.
Yeah, I did order I'm going to mess up his last name. The Nico
Masterakis.
Yeah, I was going to say Mastoricus, but Masterakis. I did order that. That was $50, and I think that was a box set that kind of went under the radar.
Yeah.
But thanks to the Arrow player, I was able to watch a couple of the movies, and I fell in love with them in a weird way.
They're funny.
Yeah, dude, $50 for that box set is a great price. So I'm happy I grabbed that. Just waiting for that to come in.
Nice. Moving to our next. Hey, the newest issue of the Physical Media Advocate just released and went up for sale. We revealed this cover last week, but Amazon rejected me multiple times, unfortunately. Finally got it through, and this is now shipping, has been available for 3 or 4 days now. Doing pretty well, but not as good as normal. I know a lot of people are kind of sold out right now on all the sales. Keep in mind, this is a really good thing to purchase. I'm not going to hard sell myself necessarily, but there are some incredible pieces in this issue. The finale, I guess you could call it, of the out of print that we've called the Brian Dembinski run on Hong Kong and finances in Hong Kong, the end of Cat 3. It's an incredible article. We have an exclusive interview here with Eduardo Margheriti over in Italy. That's 14 pages. Not kidding. It is a very long interview, and it's incredible. You get details like you've never heard before. We have a brand new segment where Adam Lundy is covering the Ratings Films releases. Check it out. $10 on Amazon for the digital. This one's $11 because it's a little longer than normal, so it costs more to print. But I'm making no money on this. I just do this to share with everybody. Please check it out. It is great. And to me, this is the best cover we've had yet. I truly love this cover. I love the substance, and I think Planet Mondo knocked this one out of the park. So make sure you go follow him.
Yeah, that's a good. Mine should be here the next couple of days. Love that we're still talking about Blair Witch Project in 2025. Love that.
Yeah.
And Cat 3 is definitely something I've been watching more movies of. So interested to read that. And yeah, I'm excited for this one to come in, man. I love that cover. That's so wait, Amazon rejected you a couple times. Do you get to put up a counter argument and say
no, no, I'm going to cut you off right there. No,
okay.
It is so dumb. The way they deny you, sometimes they don't even tell you where the error is. They'll just be like, there's a word too close to the margin. Good luck. And I'm like, it's 54 pages long. Which word? Tell me and I'll fix it.
I remember you saying that before you released the compendium, I think of issues 1 through 3, and you said that the words were too close to the barcode, which is crazy.
Yeah, I had to set multiple templates to be able to print this one, but it's out there, and I'm glad people will finally be able to see it. The Blair Witch Project article is incredible. Forgot to mention it by name, but Kevin Tudor, who's been on Reconnected a couple times from the Almost Major podcast, he is probably the world's biggest Blair Witch Project fan, and as soon as the Second Sight thing got in his hand, he wanted to just wax poetic on it, and it's a really fun article. So yeah, check it out. And there's Brian, the guy that did the Cat 3 article. He says it took me a long time to do. That is selling himself short. This guy is checking educational journals to verify information, having Columbia professors review his work to make sure that it makes sense. Literally, Brian is doing incredible work. Can't wait for you to hear what he's doing next, because it is going to be incredible.
I will say I'm not a writer, but I have been working for months on an article to send you for Physical Media Advocate, months, and I feel like I've gotten nowhere. This shit, research and all that, no joke. Do not ever, anybody out there, don't ever undermine the research, because
right,
it's incredible the amount that goes into it.
Plan 9 says, what's the best way to view the digital version? This is going to sound like advertising something else, but it's not. If you join the Patreon at the $12 tier, you get the digital version every time it comes out as part of the Patreon. So it comes to you in a PDF. You can download it and save it forever. And a lot of people don't understand the digital version. All of the pictures and like all of the people that are contributing and all of those things are hyperlinked. So if you get the digital version and the physical version, you kind of have a reason to get both. So like on the out of print that Brian wrote about the Hong Kong thing, if he references a film, it'll take you to the Letterboxd page for the film or Wikipedia, or if it's a director, it'll take you to something on them. If it's a release, it'll take you to buy the release. It takes a hell of a lot of work to do all that, but hope people appreciate that. And yeah, the digital version on Amazon, you get the PDF as well. You can it's not just a Kindle. You can just download the PDF and you'll be fine that way. Check it out. Oh, this is a weird cover to follow that up with.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Vinegar Syndrome also announced Child's Play coming to the Cinematograph line. Not that Child's Play. Oh, and no, not that Child's Play either. This is the 1972 Sidney Lumet Child's Play. Yes, this is a cover of Jesus Christ, literally on the cover. This is some of the pictures of the media book. This has Beau Bridges in it, James Mason, Robert Preston. This has a new audio commentary by Adrian Martin on this, who is pretty great. We got a new visual essay by Daniel Kramer about Sidney Lumet. Interview with the production designer on this new documentary short by Daniel Griffith, and then a full 42-minute interview that was on Charlie Rose with Sidney Lumet back in 2006. I love that that's on here. There's an hour-long documentary chronicling the first half of Lumet's career, and then new text essays by Mitchell Beaupre from Letterboxd and culture writers Patrick Dahl and Madeline Sutton.
Yeah, this I'm not even going to say the name. This sub-label, Cinematograph?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, win for me. It's so great because every single title they put out has been a brand new discovery for me, and I love that.
Nice. Yeah, and like Philip says, the imprint box for the Sidney Lumet box, Child's Play was in there. I think that was the first time it was released on Blue, actually. So now this is the U.S. counterpart to that release. But yeah.
That's a crazy cover.
It is a crazy cover.
And the fact that it's framed.
Just in case. Next up, The Quiet Ones from 2024 getting a Blu-ray from Magnolia on May 20th. And I hear this is actually a rather good movie. This says, in 2008, a group of men from Denmark and across Europe pull off the biggest heist of all time on Danish soil. Casper, a boxer with few chances left in life, is offered the opportunity to plan the robbery by its foreign initiators. At the risk of losing everything that matters to him, he takes on the challenge in a bid to break all records and secure his place in the history books.
Was this in any way written or directed by Taylor Sheridan?
It was not.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Not even a little bit. I know a lot of people that like this. Star Trek Lower Decks is putting out a complete series steelbook set on March 25th, coming from Paramount. This will be a 10-disc collection in 2 different steelbooks. We'll also have almost 5 hours of special features, including commentaries, lower dictionaries, featurettes, and more. You can pre-order that now. But if you've been picking them up season by season and you don't want the full series, you can just buy the final season on the same day as well on Blu-ray.
That's cool. I've never seen it, but it's cool to see Paramount putting some effort into some cool packaging.
I agree. And TV on Blue is always a good thing.
Yes.
Oh man, here we go. May 13th, maybe. The date is supposedly subject to change. MVD Rewind is releasing The Bikini Car Wash Company from 1992, as well as The Bikini Car Wash Company 2 from 1993. This is coming as a double feature. And this is where people are going to come out and ring all of their warning bells. Because listen to this exact quote from MVD. The Bikini Car Wash Company and the Bikini Car Wash Company 2 were originally shot and produced on standard definition videotape. To present these films in the best possible quality, both feature films have been upconverted, remastered, and upgraded from their original standard definition 480p resolution to high definition 1080p resolution using the latest advanced upconversion AI models and presented in their 1.33 to 1 original aspect ratios in order to provide the best possible viewing experience. End quote. Now, yes, so they are using AI to upconvert these. A couple things here. They say these were shot on video. If I remember right, I believe both of these were shot on film, not on video. The other problem, if you're just going to come out and flat out admit that you're using AI to upconvert these, you should do that when you haven't put out something like Hail Caesar, which looks like a blurry mess because of the AI restoration that you did on it. I personally think this is going to be a complete failure of a release from MVD Rewind. I like Eric. He's a nice guy. I wish there was a little more due diligence done on these. Look at that. Even Brian is saying in the chat, these were shot on film. The hard part here is he was just given masters. Whoever he acquired these from, he was given masters. And the first one, from what he can see, based on the runtime, it's cut. It's not even the original, like the full length version of the film. It is a cut version. The sequel is supposedly uncut from what he's saying. But to just come out and say that, it feels, I don't know. Like, obviously I want these films out there. And honestly, I feel like you would have done better just putting them as SD files on Blu-ray if that's the best that you could get. We don't need to fill in information with AI to upconvert to 1080p, because all that is doing is faking the difference between 480 to 1080p.
Yeah. I appreciate coming out right up front and being honest and telling people. I guess I don't know. It's weird because happy to have these movies out. I have no idea what they are. I'm just happy to have any movie out. I've never seen these, never even heard of them. Unfortunately, they look great. Just based on the cover.
Look bikinis, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I love car washes. I like having a clean car. So I guess it really comes down to it's going to come down to the final product, because if people are happy to have this and the AI doesn't turn it into a mess like the Hail Caesar situation,
right,
then I guess it's an okay kind of like one-off to have these. My thing is, it's not. I would much rather just have these in whatever condition you can give them to me without the AI.
Right.
Like, if you had done pick two other comedies of this time, raunchy comedies in this style that you can upscale without AI and keep the cost low, and then put these on as additional with a little note, hey, these are whatever condition they were in, I would have been better. I would have been happier with that. But that's just me and my stance.
Dude McMahon says, isn't that what Blu-ray players do anyway when you play a DVD in them? I mean, honestly, kind of, yeah. But also, that's why they don't look great. The DVD just sort of softens the edges to make it look as good as possible. The ones that are not done well look really, really bad. And it's not exactly the same. It's a problem. But yeah, like Brian says, these were all edited on tape. The OCNs are likely gone. It's hard to release this today because it's all gone. So all we have left, there are laser discs that exist. There are DVDs that exist. And I mean, honestly, the laser discs probably would have been the best way to go from these if you were going to source a scan anywhere. It's messy. We're going to talk more about low res tape masters versus film and stuff that was shot on film and edited on tape in just a minute, about what is probably the biggest announcement of the week. So I'll share more of my rant for that one. Let's keep going. Omni-Loop is coming on Blu-ray next week, literally, from Magnolia Pictures. This is one that slipped by me somehow, starring what I think is one of the best up-and-coming comedic actresses that we have, Ayo Edebiri. Zoya Lowe, a quantum physicist, finds herself in a time loop with a black hole growing in her chest and only a week to live. But what the doctors and her family don't know is that she has already lived this week before, many times, in fact. One day, she meets a gifted student named Paula, and together they team up to save her life and to unlock the mysteries of time travel. That being said, time loop movies, I feel like we've had way too many of those over the last decade. I kind of want to see this, but also I've already seen time loop movies everywhere. So
yeah, the last time I watched an interesting time loop movie was when Severin put out Lola, and I remember that being pretty. Oh, that's not even a time loop. That just involves playing with time. But I feel like that was the first time in a long time I watched something in that style that I was like, this is good.
Yeah,
this is a good way to do it. Original. So this, I'm not the most interested, but that's okay.
Understandable. Magnolia also releasing Joan Baez, I Am a Noise on February 4th. It says, at the end of a 60-year career, legendary musician and activist Joan Baez reflects on her life, both on and off stage, from her lifelong emotional struggles to her civil rights work with MLK and a heartbreaking romance with a young Bob Dylan. This film is a compelling and personal exploration of an icon who has never told the full truth of her life until now.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan. Extra hot right now.
I mean, yeah, this would be the time to put something like this out. I mean, are people still talking about Complete Unknown?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. I just want to make sure because I haven't heard anything.
Next week, Level 33 Entertainment is also releasing All You Need Is Blood from 2024. This is coming as a BDR disc, unfortunately. This is starring Logan Riley Bruner, but the bigger names that you might recognize are Eddie Griffin and Mina Suvari. This will also have a director's commentary, behind-the-scenes footage, special effects, and film gallery. Supposedly, this movie's pretty damn good.
The concept gives me like that feeling that it's pretty good. Like I'm actually kind of interested in this. I mean, yeah, it sucks it's a BDR, but to get it out there, I'm interested.
It probably would not have got a release otherwise. This is super exciting, I think. February 11th, we are getting a 4K from Warner Brothers for The Nice Guys from 2016, one of the most underseen films from the last decade, I think. I love this movie. Truly a great comedy. This is going to be a made-on-demand 4K. Still pressed, but just so everybody knows that does happen. The Nice Guys, you get to see this one?
Dude, I love this movie. This and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang are like my favorite Shane Black out there.
Nice.
This was so much better than I expected going into it, and I hope in 10 years we're talking about The Fall Guy like how we do Nice Guys. I can kind of see that because I also love that movie as well.
Colton says, well, that cover has Gosling dressing to the left. Jeez.
But now I'm looking.
Oh, that's hilarious. I love that that's right below private dicks. Anyways, let's go to the next 4K announcement, which is Judas and the Black Messiah with Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield. Somehow, this is one I did not see. This came out in 2021. I need to watch this. I love pretty much everything both of those guys have acted in. So, yeah, this looks good.
Yeah, I would say same. I didn't see this when it came out, but I will check it out. Absolutely.
Yeah, same day, same mod 4K, February 11th from Warner Brothers. Next up, Eat the Night is coming on Blu-ray on March 11th from Altered Innocence. This thing sounds wild. So this says Pablo, a small-time drug dealer, and his teenage sister Apolline have forged an unbreakable bond through their shared obsession with the online video game Dark Noon. When Pablo falls from the mysterious night, he gets swept up in their liaison, abandoning his sister to deal with the impending shutdown of their digital haven alone. As Pablo's reckless choices provoke the wrath of a dangerous rival gang, the end of their virtual life draws near, upending their reality. This is from the same people that did Jessica Forever, and we're going to have an interview with the filmmakers and some short films on this, plus a trailer. It is in French, but this sounds pretty damn interesting.
The fact that it says it's a bittersweet apocalyptic love story with a modern MMORPG twist.
Yep.
The cover alone, when this popped up on my feed, the cover alone kind of got me interested in reading. But yeah, this looks really, really cool.
Altered Innocence quietly does a lot of really great work.
Yeah. They're a label that I get into more as time goes on.
Right. All right. It is time. So let's talk about it. Vinegar Syndrome announced as their last title for their subscriber week, coming on their Degausser line, Iced from 1989. Now, this is a slasher film that people have been begging for years. And now, to say up front, I bought this. Just so what I'm about to say, you understand. I'm saying this as somebody who did purchase this, primarily just because I want a copy of this on Blu-ray. So Iced is getting released, and they say this is coming as, let's see, is it listed here? Newly transferred and restored from the best surviving tape master. Now, just like we were just talking about on Bikini Car Wash, Iced was shot on film and edited on tape. And if you had the film elements, you could theoretically edit this again, the exact same way that the film was edited and make it look freaking amazing. If you go over and look at the screenshots that Vinegar Syndrome posted for Iced, it looks god-awful. It looks, to me, to be quite honest, it looks like YouTube quality. There are tons of digital hits on the screenshots that they posted that I'm actually feeling like it is just simply a YouTube version that was uploaded. It is crazy to have this released. And I'm not saying Vinegar Syndrome downloaded this from YouTube and they're putting it on Blu-ray or whatever or anything like that. But it looks really bad in the screenshots. Now, I had a bunch of people say, watch the trailer. It looks a lot better. No, it doesn't. The trailer does not make it look that much better. It still looks really, really low quality. Now, to get to the actual, quote, controversy that has come up this week, in the acquisition phase for many of these companies that are putting out these films, there is competition up until it signs with one company. Now, I'm going to highlight a comment here who's going to explain this. So it's not my words. I'm reading what John Matthews said. Thanks, John, by the way. John says that Ryan Graveface from TerraVision on the Blu-ray.com forum said that the film elements on Iced do exist. They were trying to license it, but Vinegar Syndrome got it instead. Vinegar Syndrome went down he says, lazy tape master route. Recreating and re-editing the film elements seems wasn't worth their time. Now, from what I know, and I've been told behind the scenes on this, Vinegar Syndrome just didn't track down the elements. And not that they didn't try. They did try. They just didn't find them. But the elements were found. Now, that doesn't mean that the elements were usable. I just know that the film exists, and we could have at least tried to do it the right way, where you scan the film in and re-edit it again. It could have been attempted and looked way better than what this is going to be on Blu-ray. That being said, this will sell out. This is like one of the most coveted films of trashy movie fans ever. People have wanted this on Blu-ray since the dawn of time, and it's here. It's just not HD quality. It looks truly, truly terrible. Am I happy about that? Of course not. The other sad part is now the elements have been found. You would hope that you could take the elements and a UK company could release it. Well, it's not that simple. Unfortunately, Vinegar Syndrome owns the film outright worldwide now. So no one else can release this without Vinegar Syndrome's permission. They have to license it from Vinegar Syndrome. Why would Vinegar Syndrome license it to them and basically admit that their release is inferior? So this is probably the best that we're going to get for this film forever.
Yeah.
Which really sucks.
I mean, if you're gonna take a shortcut and do it this way, owning the material 100% is going to be the best way, like, reason to do it.
Well, and again, I'm not saying they took a shortcut. I'm just saying they probably did not discover the elements, because another label was working on it and they found the elements and wanted to license it, but Vinegar Syndrome had just beat them to it.
Yeah. When you said that, I went on Vinegar. So I didn't look into this when it came out, and I haven't bought it yet. I'm going to buy it. You're right, man. These screenshots that I'm flipping through right now are like, this is how I expect to watch it on YouTube. Like, this looks like,
yeah,
what I would have found, you know?
I've seen a lot of VHS screenshots that look a hell of a lot better than what we were getting up for Iced.
I guess, do you think, let's say the quality is exactly what the trailer and these screenshots are giving off, do you think it's going to ruin somebody's first time watching this movie? Does it add to the charm at all? Because I can imagine a 4K would look fantastic just based on...
I'm not even saying 4K. I'm even just saying a proper HD release. Yeah. So I don't think it'll ruin anything. Well, let me say it a better way. I think there are some people that are more sensitive to quality, and they were probably going to hate this if it comes out like that, for sure. If it came out in full HD, it probably would have been slightly better for those people. But in all reality, at least now you will have access to this film. Most people have been trying to see this film for years. I'm glad that somebody's releasing it. I'm glad that it will be out there. I do just wish it was higher quality. And the other label that says that they found the elements, again, they didn't. It's not like they scanned the elements to see if they could redo it, because you have to sign the film first. But before they signed the film, they wanted to make sure that they had elements. And so, because of the timeline of everything, it just got screwed over, unfortunately.
Yeah. I feel like if I bought a mod of this, like, let's say I just bought a mod version of this movie on Blu-ray and it looked this quality, I would be very, very, very happy to have it. And I'm happy that it's out. I just am kind of reserving a lot of it until I get it and watch it. Of course. You know what I mean? Because I'm gonna add it onto an order that I placed. But yeah, I'm happy it's out. That's an interesting thing. We're kind of to this point where it's hard. There's so many movies that people want, and you're at the mercy of whoever's putting it out and hoping that they're going to do a good job on it. And we don't know the story. This could be like the best it could have gone, like, because of those elements, because of whatever. This could be the best they could possibly put
exactly out. Like you're saying, the elements that were found might be completely trashed, and this is literally the best it will ever get. I'm not saying it is 100% true that it could have been better. We don't know that yet. However, it wasn't even tried. That's the part that sucks here. And the other big thing too, I mean, me looking at those screenshots, I don't want to pay a lot of money for that, but this thing costs $30 if you're not a subscriber.
Yeah.
$30 on release day for a title that people have been after for a long time. So they're going to buy it. If those screenshots are true to the quality, this is pretty bad for $30.
Yeah. I definitely think this might be a, like, next year $10 sale item. You know what I mean? Without the slip and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I think I'm going to pick it up just because I'm so interested in what this movie is. And looking, I mean, the screenshots outside of the quality sold me on the movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? They sold me on the movie, but that quality's quality's pretty rough. So we'll see what I end up, deciding to do with that.
Matthew is saying maybe the Elements owner is not the same as the intellectual owner of the film, and the Elements owner was too difficult to work with. Maybe the same as what is going on with Just Before Dawn. It's just not. I mean, the first part is true. The Elements owner is not the same as the intellectual owner. Let me take that back. Technically, in the film world, if you have the right to distribute the film, you are the rightful owner to the film elements at that moment. You are able to access it if you're allowed to. I'm actually dealing with that on another project right this moment. But the Elements owner would have been willing to work with it if Vinegar Syndrome had tracked them down. Vinegar Syndrome they didn't find them. And the other label didn't know that Vinegar Syndrome had already signed and was working on this. The other label was working towards a release as well. So
this is really hard too, because Vinegar Syndrome is known for putting a ton of effort into what most people would consider trash.
Right. And Vinegar Syndrome worked their ass off on this. I'm sure they did. I'm sure they worked really hard to find the elements. It's just that the other label did and Vinegar Syndrome didn't.
Yeah, and we're to that point where there's so many labels out that this is bound to happen a lot. And sometimes I feel like most of the time we don't know about it.
Right.
But, this is a company who has put a lot of time into a lot lesser desired movies. So it is kind of hard to take, what was said and think like they just took the easy way out. Because, I own some trash from Vinegar Syndrome that looks way better than it should. And a lot of effort was put in. So it's just an interesting thing.
Again, not saying Vinegar Syndrome didn't try. This is likely the best that Vinegar Syndrome at the time with what they had could do. It really just sucks for fans of the film, especially hearing on announcement day that Elements existed somewhere else and maybe we could have had a better release.
Well, also too, how many people bought this before reading? Because this stuff's limited. You go on the site, you click buy, you're done. Just because of the title, and then you go on and you start reading the description. And you're like, oh wait, hold on.
Well, and right now they've already sold more than 3,000 copies of this.
Yeah.
So
that's an interesting one. I guess we'll see what time tells with this one.
That's going to be interesting. The extras on this, we got a commentary with Jeff Quitney and special features producer Ewan Cant. Ewan's been on the channel before. He's a good guy. I'm sure that commentary is going to be good. We had a commentary with The Hysteria Continues and Amanda Reyes. I'm sure the Amanda Reyes part is going to be good on that commentary. We got an intro to the film by Jeff Quitney. We got an interview with Jeff Quitney as well. Interview with one of the actors. Interview with the second assistant director, image gallery, all that same stuff that we get on lots of these releases. We got a bunch of extras. The only portion that is a problem really is the picture quality, sadly.
Cool cover.
Yeah, I like the cover. Like the back on this. I don't know who was paying attention to the Blu-ray.com forums on the day this was announced. Somehow, if you searched up Iced about an hour and a half before this went live on Vinegar Syndrome, it showed that it was a Degausser release and had the art attached to the release before it was even live. Somebody had already loaded it into the database. Not sure how that leaked and not sure how it got loaded into the database, but man, they were ready to go.
Whew. Yeah. It's cool looking. I like it.
Yeah.
That comment was great.
A bunch of Kino announcements coming. We got March 18th. They're doing a Blu-ray of The Black Tulip. This is a French film from 1964. We got a new audio commentary by Simon Abrams. And Alain Delon is in this one. And that's enough of a reason for many people to pick this up.
Yeah. I don't know anything about it. Cool.
Let's talk about Radiance for this month. April 28th in the UK, April 29th in North America. We are getting a Blu-ray of A Tale of Sorrow and Sadness from 1977. This is by Seijun Suzuki, director that many people they worship. Love the cover art on this one. As usual, Radiance kills it with the art. This says the editor of a sports magazine grooms fashion model Reiko to become a pro golfer while retaining exclusive rights to her likeness. Reiko's popularity soars after she wins her first tournament, and she becomes a media sensation. But when she and her manager cause a hit-and-run accident, the victim begins to blackmail Reiko, intruding further and further into her personal life. This was Seijun Suzuki's comeback film after being blacklisted by the film industry for 10 years. Though adapted from a popular manga, the bold visuals and absurdist plot twist are vintage Suzuki. We get an audio commentary by Sam Deegan on this one. New interview with the editor, Kunihiko Ukai. We got a trailer and then reversible artwork as usual. And then a booklet with new writing by Jasper Sharp and an archival review of the film. And this sounds fantastic.
Yeah, this sounds really... Radiance is another label that as time goes on, I've really just loved diving into their stuff blind, like I said. And this... I'm sold. I'll buy this and check it out.
For sure. We had a question. Silent Mandible says, are these Radiance releases all included in the sub? This is difficult to answer because they had the everything sub where you can get every Radiance title, or they have just the US sub where you get just the titles that are region A for sure. So if you have either of those two subs, yes, you will get this one. But remember, there's a Raro title that is a part of this group as well, and that is not in any of the subscriptions. So if you want that one, you got to add it in.
I didn't even know they had a sub.
Yeah, they have a very useful sub because you get a couple gifts every year out of them. The first year, we got a notebook that had Radiance branding on the front. They do their art house zines. Dirty Art House is what they call it. They've gotten a tote bag, I think, and then one or two other small things.
What about, are the subs yearly?
They do yearly, and I think you can do half year at the half year point. But also, when you choose it, if you want to save on the shipping, you can do like packages. So you can do like every 3 months. That way, you pay shipping 4 times, or it might even be free at that point. I'm not sure about the price, but yeah, you can save and only get 2 a year, or even 1. I know a friend of mine gets it once a year, and he gets the entire year in one giant box.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Next one is Girl with the Suitcase with Claudia Cardinal. This is a 4K restoration from the original negative. We're going to interview with the assistant director and an interview with the screenwriter on this, and an interview with the film critic Bruno Tori. A visual essay about the film by Kat Ellinger. We get a trailer, book with new writing by Giuliana Minghelli, and yeah, very classic looking Radiance release. This one is from 1961, coming in both the UK and North America, same dates as the last one we just listed. Then this next one, this is UK only. This is a Jacques Rivette film. This is Va Savoir from 2001. This is a new 4K restorations. You get the 154-minute theatrical cut, and then Va Savoir Plus, the 223-minute director's original cut on 2 different discs. You've got select scene audio commentary by Pascal Bonitzer and Christine Laurent. We've got some archival interview with the critic Jonathan Romney, and then a booklet with writing by Rivette expert Mary M. Wiles.
When we started talking about tonight's show, we were talking about possibly doing like a conversation about unrated and director's cuts and all that stuff.
Yes.
I know nothing about this movie, but for some reason I'm always insanely interested in the director's cuts.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see that the restoration is on the 223-minute cut of this, because sometimes I feel like those less desired cuts kind of get the back end, like they don't get treated as well, because 99% of the time, regardless of the time frame that I have to watch something, I will always typically watch the director's preferred version. So that's what I want restored, and I'm interested in this. I know it's only a UK only release, but I'm interested in grabbing this, and that would be the cut that I'm watching. So I'm happy to see that that's also restored.
Right. Yeah, and I think this is one of like 5 remaining Jacques Rivette films that have not been released on HD. So now after this one, I think we only got like somewhere between like 3 and 5 left. So yeah, that's a nice release for Radiance. And then the final regular Radiance release, this is a Kelly Reichardt film from 1994, coming out in the UK only, River of Grass. This has been released in the US by Oscilloscope, and this one has the same 2K restoration that Oscilloscope did. This one has an audio commentary by Kelly Reichardt and Larry Fessenden. We got an audio interview with the writer and curator So Maye. From this year, Larry Fessenden gets a visual essay by Anton Battelle, and that is brand new. There are drive-by outtakes, a restoration featurette, and then a booklet with new writing by Caitlin Quinlan. And this is a very good movie. Have you seen this one?
I haven't, but I can't help but look at these three announcements, and for some reason I think of Criterion, both in the cover and in the style, but also in the variety of movies announced.
Yep.
Like I haven't heard of any of this now being the third. All three I'm interested in checking out. Well, this has Larry Fessenden in it, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
But all three plots are so radically different, but I'm like excited to watch all three of these and look at the visual essays and all that stuff. So it's just kind of like an instant appeal to me, you know?
Good stuff. I've always loved Kelly Reichardt, pretty much everything that I've seen. Check it out if you're into it. And then finally, like I mentioned, there's a Raro release. This is not in any subscription. This is a UK only release, and it's a Blu-ray release of Killer Cop from 1975. This has an HD digital transfer with the original Italian and English audio options on Blu-ray for the first time in the UK. New commentary by Eugenio Ercolani and Troy Howarth. Interview with Valeria Di Obici. I'm a betting that's how it's pronounced. And then interview with production manager Alessandro Colosi, and then limited edition booklet, new writing by Barry Forshaw on this one. Raro does some pretty great stuff.
Yeah, this sounds crazy, but what's most interesting to me is Luciano Ercoli. I just watched this past 2024, The Forbidden Photos of a Lady Above Suspicion.
Nice.
And absolutely loved it. So that's an instant appeal to this one.
Nice. Yeah, he's a good director. Ho is the name of this new one from Kino Lorber, coming on March 18th. This has new audio commentary by the man, the myth, the legend, Howard S. Berger, Steve Mitchell, and Nathaniel Thompson. This is another French film, and we will be getting a few of those on March 18th. This one is starring Jean-Paul Belmondo, and then Alain Delon is like a very quick cameo in this one as well.
That looks cool.
Yeah. Then VCI is releasing The Naked Witch, also known as The Witchmaker from 1969. This is a movie that's been released on Blu-ray from Code Red and a couple others in the past, I believe. This is nothing new, just the same film that we've got before. VCI doing nothing new on it, as far as I can tell. They just licensed it to get it back in print, which is totally fine. Yeah, The Naked Witch.
Yeah, I have seen this one. I believe I have the Code Red release. It's a good movie.
I think I have it up there, or I did at some point and got rid of it after I watched it. Another one. We talked about Buñuel earlier. We are getting Diary of a Chambermaid from 1964. This is coming on March 25th from Kino, and this is going to have a new audio commentary by Imogen Sarah Smith, who is one of the best in the game. Does a lot of stuff for Criterion. Also works with our friends over at Cine Journeys. Not sure if Aaron is still here or if he went to sleep, but he was here in the chat earlier. I just saw Ronnie's chat. One of the best kinds of witches is a naked witch. I agree. Completely agree. This is one that I know a lot of people are going to be purchasing. Definitely one that I need to pre-order because I've not seen this one. Happily able to admit that. This is supposedly one of the best movies of all time. Been on my watch list for a long time.
Yeah, this is... I've heard of it in books and just kind of reading. Never saw. I think this might be a title that I'll pick up during one of the Kino like seasonal sales.
Yep.
But yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Last movie standing here to say hello to you.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
All right, that is Boonwell. Next one, Shout. Man, Shout had a weird day today. They were announcing titles like once every 90 minutes. So we're going to have some Shout titles and then intersperse some other titles in between to end this show for today. Ghost Cat Anzu from 2024 is getting a G Kids release with Shout coming on March 4th on Blu-ray. This will have the extras are audio.
Nice.
and teasers and trailers, but that's it. It's hilarious to me that they put audio under extras.
Yeah. So this is a kids line?
G Kids is like their anime line that they work with.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Just curious, because I was wondering, like, would this be something that you would put yourself in the shoes of a consumer? Would this be something that you would be interested in for your kids, or?
For me personally, no.
Okay.
But they've only watched, I think they've only seen one Miyazaki film so far. I need to break more out for them. But other than that, I think they just don't have the acquaintance with this animation style. So I don't think it would grip them immediately.
Okay. I was just curious from somebody who doesn't have kids.
But some of the G Kids animated, I think most of them are animated, but the G Kids anime films, some of them are very much not kids films either. So they do definitely go there as well.
Interesting. Okay.
Next, Sony Pictures announced Blu-rays for two of their Sony Pictures Classics titles. Both of these are coming on February 25th. This first one is Character from 1997, one that I had no idea what this was, but this got a ton of comments. A lot of people have wanted this for quite some time, it sounds like. It's based on a 1938 Dutch novel, and based on that, a lot of people saw this and then went and read a lot of the books from the author. This is from 1997. I'm not sure if I said that. This won the Best Foreign Language Film at the Oscars in 1998.
And it's pretty impressive. A Academy Award-winning feature debut.
Sure is. Next one is Respiro, is coming on the same day. This is from 2002. This is another award-winning film. Got lots of attention back when it came out that I've not seen. That Sony Pictures Classics, they know some great titles.
Yeah, I don't know anything about either of these, but I am interested.
Absolutely. All right. Next up is Dazzler Media over in the UK. They are doing a 4K of The Last Voyage of the Demeter. This is the 2023 film that just came out, and they're doing a 4K and Blu-ray. I think all of the extras are from the Shout 4K. You've got the audio commentary, some deleted scenes, Dracula reimagined, and then Evil is Aboard, a making of. But yeah, I mean, even the cover art for the 4K is essentially identical to the Shout 4K, including the collector's edition branding at the top. They just composed the Dazzler Media logo and the certificate on the front of it.
Yeah, that's what I was. My face kind of changed. I was like, wait, that's exactly the same?
Yep. Honestly, they probably didn't change it at all. Shout Factory, their next title is Forbidden World from 1982, is making the leap up to 4K. This is of course, Roger Corman produced Forbidden World. This is going to have the theatrical version and director's cut both on 4K. There are no new extras, but both cuts making the jump to 4K is interesting rather than just the theatrical like they normally do.
Yeah.
Another Corman title in 4K.
They I love Scream Factory because I feel like they actually listen a little bit, and they have been making some little improvements over time of little things. So I appreciate having both on one, on 4K here.
Oh yeah, definitely having both on one 4K is how it should always be. Yes. Especially if you're able to properly utilize 4K and all that. Yeah, definitely need to.
Yeah, it's how it should be. It's not always how it's done.
The next title, March 25th, we are getting a 3D Blu-ray from Kino and the 3D Film Archive of The Glass Web by Jack Arnold. This is from 1953. Gorgeously remastered for the first time in 3D. This is going to have a new audio commentary by Jason A. Nye with 3D experts Mike Ballou and Greg Kintz. You will also have the 2D Blu-ray. You've got 3D and anaglyphic, the red and blue 3D versions, with one pair of 3D glasses included. So no matter what you got, if you got a 3D TV and all that stuff, you can watch it the proper way with the good 3D glasses, or you can watch it red and blue glasses, or just flat 2D.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Forbidden World is dope, says Last Movie Standing. Very much prefer the theatrical cut. The Blu-ray had the director's cut. Looked like VHS quality. Well, now it's been restored. Hopefully you can check that out again. Yes, you do get glasses, Sibiner. Next up, this is a pretty big announcement. Shout putting out Tommy on 4K on their Shout Select line on March 18th. This is being lauded as the 50th anniversary edition, and they went out so far to get this wonderful new release out that they have 0 extras. No commentary, nothing, and it's a 50th anniversary edition. Sure, it's great that you're getting this in 4K, not going to put that down, but what the hell? I mean, I don't know if like the Who is against this being released with any extras or something, but holy hell, it sucks that this has nothing.
Like, is there no archival anything for this movie that they could have?
There is in the UK, but none of those have ever been ported over to the US releases.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, cool to have it for those who want it, but that's the definition of bare bones.
Yeah. Once again, extra features audio.
Yeah, okay. At least you get audio as a bonus.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is one I want, and I it's probably not Shout's fault. I'm going to try to give him that benefit of the doubt. It's probably a rights thing with the Who, but come on, it's freaking Tommy. I mean, if they don't want you to have the extras on this disc, and I think this is totally legal, hire a bunch of historians, people that love this, music experts, whatever, and just put out your own separate release of Tommy extras. Sell it for $10. And when you put this out, put it in a 3-disc case so that they can buy that extra set and buy it in here.
Yeah, how does it work with, like, they can't hire their own somebody to do video essays, or does that also become rights issues? Or
some studios and some entities can choose that. Yes.
Okay. It's just crazy to hear nothing except audio.
It's wild. I do not understand it. I wish they would be able to say, hey, we weren't allowed to put anything on this. Because, again, it's the 50th anniversary edition.
I mean, a bonus feature of just somebody from Shout Factory saying, hey, we weren't allowed to do anything. I feel like I would have liked to have more than just nothing.
Next up, Kino putting out Hijack Highway from 1955. This is another French film coming on March 25th. New audio commentary by Simon Abrams on this one. And I know nothing about this. I know literally nothing.
That's great art, though.
It is very good art, yes. Very good slipcase on this one. Next one up is Two-Way Stretch from 1960, getting a release on March 11th from Kino, starring Peter Sellers. New audio commentary by authors and comedy historians Gemma Ross and Robert Ross. I love me some British humor, so I may check this one out.
I love David Lodge as the meat-headed muscle man.
Yep. Next up is a big title for a lot of people. Scream Factory putting out Night of the Creeps on 4K on March 25th. This is the standard release, comes with the slipcover during that first pressing. You got a new commentary on this by Suzanne Snyder, and then Jackson Stewart and Fran Galuppi. Fran's been on the channel before. Check that out. This is interesting because the 4K disc is just the director's cut. The Blu-ray disc is just the director's cut. And then they added the theatrical ending as an extra on the Blu-ray disc of extras. They also have a new career retrospective with Fred Decker on the Blu-ray special features. Everything else has been ported over from the old Blu-ray release. But yeah, only one cut of the film being released here, and it's the director's cut.
I don't know offhand what the difference was between the theatrical and the director. I mean, obviously
Just the ending.
Okay. So in that case, I don't see it a big deal. I love the new bonus features for this. I love Night of the Creeps. So this is a guaranteed upgrade for me, but it makes it easier to spend the money, especially when you have a new commentary and then a Fred Decker career retrospective interview. I think that adds significant value to this. So I'll be picking it up for sure. And I know we're probably going to show it, but I love the new slipcover.
Definitely going to show it. Let's get to it because they also announced some bundles. This one, you get these two posters and the alternate slipcover here. Yeah, you're right. That slip is great. But of course, the big deal here is the Tom Atkins NECA that they released. That is a new NECA. And if you were lucky enough to be super fast, you could have got the old NECA that they released as well. They had 60 of these available today to bundle where you could get both of them.
Yeah, that's cool. That 2 for 2 on cool shit with Night of the Creeps from Scream Factory.
The cooler thing too is if you have that original NECA figure and you're like, I don't need to go to a 4K, you can just buy the new NECA figure by itself. Honestly, cool deal from Shout. They don't always do that, but that's pretty rad.
Yeah, it's rare. I really love their alternate slips, but in this case, that coloring, just overall, I love that alternate work.
Agreed. All right. Then Shaw Brothers Classics Volume 6 got announced. Again, 11 films on 11 discs, and this is a lot. So let's go through it real quick. Swordswomen 3, the 12 Gold Medallions, The Black Enforcer, Duel for Gold, Finger of Doom, Na-Cha and the Seven Devils, Shadow Girl, Swordsman at Large, The Black Tavern, The Young Avenger, and Crazy Nuts of Kung Fu. Now, I've not seen any of these yet. I hear The Black Tavern's amazing. Pretty much everybody that has seen some of these say The Black Tavern is incredible. Now, all of these have new extras. I believe all of them have at least one new commentary. Many of them have 2 or more new commentaries. They are not kidding around. These releases have interviews. They have featurettes. They've got multiple commentaries. This is a set that adds to their collection in a very meaningful way. Supposedly great films. I'm so glad that they're continuing to put these out. It's expensive. Totally get that. But this is wild. So many Shaw Brothers titles in the last couple of years that have gotten releases. It is so hard to stay up to date, but geez, good stuff.
Yeah, I blinked and we're on volume 6.
Yeah.
To me, it's like is it Kino does the film noir where there's like 28.
We're almost up to 30. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, how the hell did we get there? And this, I remember volume 1 and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then now 6 already. Are these, because I don't know, are they individual cases or is it?
They are.
Okay.
Yeah. Somehow I've got it within reach. Okay, so I guess they're not individual cases necessarily, but they're all individual discs. So some of them have one case for 2 films.
Okay, yeah, because I just got their Golden Harvest Supernatural Terrors, and that's the way it is. So I was curious if it was the same way.
I don't have the Golden Harvest ones. I need to get those for sure. But I mean, again, there's so many.
Yeah, there's so many.
And they've got the Golden Harvest ones. They've got the Shaw Brothers ones, and then they've also got the Tai Lung David Chang collection. They've got the Brave Archer collection. They've got the 2 Jackie Chan collections. There's at least one more that they did. Oh, Sonny Chiba. They did his collection too.
Oh yes,
There's so much. Yeah. I mean, I love it. I'm all for it, but god dang,
I'm still trying to make my way through Volume 1 of Game of Clones.
At least that's a 2024 release, yeah.
Yes.
Finally, this week, sticking with Asia, Media Blasters is releasing a Blu-ray in the U.S. of Samurai Fiction from 1998. One that a lot of people lost faith would ever come to Blu-ray. You can get this from Media Blasters. It is not up on their website yet, but they're usually pretty quick. I'm assuming that you should be able to see this up there soon. It'll be on Amazon. Diabolic should have it. I know that a lot of people were after this one, so check this out. This says, Heishiro Inukai is a noble samurai who seeks vengeance against Ranosuke, the renegade villain who stole the clan's prized treasure. To save the clan's honor, Heishiro, an untested swordsman, resolves to take down Ranosuke, who has killed hundreds of men and fought entire armies. As he prepares for the final showdown, Heishiro is faced with a choice between reaching a peaceful or a bloody resolution. This is shot in black and white, and it's a fan favorite that, like I said, a lot of people have wanted so much.
Yeah, that's cool. That's what I'm interested in.
Nice. We did it. Those are the announcements. Let's cover what is coming next week before we get to our discussion right quick. Here we go. Like we said, Inglourious Bastards 4K from Arrow coming out next week. This is supposedly starting to sell out everywhere. I just checked, and Atomic Movie Store still has it for $41.99. So if you can't find it elsewhere, you may want to grab it from there if you were after it. The Snowpiercer 4K Steelbook finally drops. Chinatown and Once Upon a Time in the West get their standard 4K releases from Paramount. JoJo Dancer from Criterion on 4K is releasing. We got The Mother and the Whore 4K from Criterion. Shaw Brothers Classics Volume 5 is just coming out. Incubus 4K from Arrow. TerraVision should be getting in their Rumpelstiltskin 4K and getting those out. It probably will not be in your hands by next Tuesday, but hopefully by the end of next week if you're a clubber, and probably early the following week if you are not. Godzilla -1 gets one of its 14 releases coming out next Tuesday. Sometimes I Think About Dying goes wide from Oscilloscope then. The Mill Creek Icons Unearthed Marvel Edition comes out next Tuesday. Cohen Media's My Name is Alfred Hitchcock finally coming out. Feel like we talked about that one ages ago. The Spiral Road and That Funny Feeling from Kino also dropping next Tuesday. Romance and Cigarettes coming as well. Any of those that you are after, sir, or pre-ordered or super excited for?
So nothing pre-ordered. Thinking about grabbing My Name is Alfred Hitchcock, but yeah, this is. I want Inglourious Bastards. I just don't know. I haven't convinced myself of it quite yet.
Yep.
So that's where I'm at.
It's the same scan. It's difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it's the same skin. I've heard it's a different encoding. I don't know. That one I'm gonna be like, it'll be a last minute thing if I decide to. It'll be like when Atomic Movie Store has one left, and I'm like, okay, finally. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm eager to get in Rumpelstiltskin for sure. I've not even been able to see the new restoration yet. I really need to. I think that's the biggest one for me. I'm kind of curious eventually to check out Incubus. Love the whole, like, this movie was not able to be seen for years and we got it now on 4K. Like, it just adds to the lore of these crazy titles that we've been getting for the last year and a half.
Yeah, well, I'm actually kind of happy there's a week where I'm not going to spend much money on something new. You know what I mean?
Right.
So.
All right. We are on to our discussion for the night, which is commentaries that we wish that we could do, and these are only horror films. Before we do that, why do you love commentaries? Why do you want to start a podcast about commentaries?
I feel like I didn't start getting into them until later. Actually, believe it or not, the movie that kind of started it for me was the commentary for Halloween 4 with Dwight H. Little. That was the commentary that I remember watching Halloween 4, and I was like, yeah, obviously I like that movie a lot, but the commentary kind of brought up some things and showed me some things in a new light. And I was like, man, these are actually like incredibly interesting. So I started diving into them a little bit more. And then, of course, eventually getting to the point where I was watching yours with Will on A Spider Labyrinth. And it really got to a point where it was almost like, I don't know how to put it. I felt like I was getting viewpoints that no other form of bonus feature, unless I could sit down with the people, like were able to give me. Like, that was the best insight. And there are bad commentaries and there are good commentaries.
Oh, for sure.
But the desire to move it into a podcast is because I feel like people who don't watch or listen to audio commentaries are missing out on a lot of important information. And there are times where commentaries have made movies better for me or helped me kind of see them in a new light. And there are some commentaries you listen to, man, where just like you can feel the love and the passion. And once you kind of hear some of those stories, it's shocking that half of what we have ever came to light.
Right,
or like even exists, and it's so interesting. So that's what drove me into them. And the cool thing now is doing all the research for the podcast. Every movie that we've been researching for this first 6 months, I have a newfound respect for both the movie and the people involved. We've been lucky that the 6 movies we picked without kind of like pre-screening the commentary to figure out if it was good. We just happened to pick a bunch that were good. And I was like, once we kind of got to like the 3rd or 4th movie, I was like, oh shit, like we're onto something. Like we're actually learning, and that's really it, man. There is no better way for me to kind of explain it,
So what are 2 or 3, like other than the ones you just mentioned, favorite commentaries that you've listened to that you would say everybody who loves horror and loves special features should try to listen to these commentaries?
So I'm going to be broad with the first. I'm going to say anything with Rob Zombie on any of his movies. I still think his movies have some of the best behind the scenes bonus features anyway. He goes incredibly in depth, but that's a guy who he's kind of like Kevin Smith to me. I love hearing him just talk about movies. And we are covering House of a Thousand Corpses this year, and it's such a great commentary track. And we are going to be kind of talking about the retrospective commentary track that he did for the anniversary release that was only on streaming. So we are going to be talking about that. So I would say anything Rob Zombie. I'm trying to peek back to kind of like remember. Well, Halloween, that one with John Carpenter and Jamie Lee Curtis, I think is a essential commentary track for anybody to listen to.
Yeah.
You're putting me on the spot, man. You didn't ask me this question beforehand.
It's what I do.
I'm going to probably say... I don't know, offhand. It's late.
Well, then let's get into our discussion, because I can't wait to hear some of your responses for these. So we were going to name 5 films that we would love to do a commentary for that are horror movies. What is the first one that you want to bring up?
Okay, so I had to look at this in an interesting way, because commentaries to me, I've never done one. If I was challenged to do one, it's challenging me to analyze deeper than ever before. So most of the titles that I have here, actually 4 of the 5, do not have commentaries. 1 does.
Interesting.
But first one I'm going to pull up is actually a release from this past year, and it is A Wounded Fawn.
Love
it. Yeah, and I'm incredibly shocked that this did not come with a commentary. It was something that I was kind of, when the bonus features when it got announced, I was a little disappointed. I was like, oh man, I'm happy to have this, but the bonus features didn't really hit kind of where I wanted it to. This movie to me is incredibly interesting as a fan of not just the giallo genre, but anything from the 70s. But it's also a movie that jumps genre so often that I feel like deep diving into this would be such a great exploration. And also too, you can interpret this movie many different ways. You can take it literally, you can get into all the metaphorical, so there's a ton of different ways to analytically hop into this, as well as just fanboy about some of the incredible visuals. Like there's a moment where the character comes out of the bathroom and she's walking down a hallway, and there's this stark red wall behind her. And this movie was shot on film, so you have all the beautiful film grain, the beautiful coloring, the beautiful lighting. I feel like you could just geek out about the whole entire time. So to me, I would just want to talk about that stuff and, you know what I mean? Dive into it like that. And it's disappointing me if there isn't one for it. I'm just happy to own it at this point, you know?
Right. Totally get that. Yeah, it's a great movie. Definitely a lot to analyze for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So the first one I want to talk about is a half cheat. I kind of have to do this sometimes because there's certain things I'm like, well, yeah, that has to be an answer, but also it's kind of a silly answer. But my first one here is Barbarian. And the first reason is because then we have a release of Barbarian. That's the main reason why I would love to do it, because I could hold it in my hand and have it be a true legit release. But in all reality, like a commentary on Barbarian has so many things that I would love to talk about. I mean, the history of Whitest Kid You Know and getting to get Barbarian made for Zach would be amazing. Justin Long and how he is one of like two modern Scream kings that we have with him and Kyle Gallner. I truly would love to just speak on his history attached to this genre, because he has done so many incredible things. But then, you know, the stars that are in this movie and the story that we got, I really feel like Barbarian would make an incredible commentary. There's so much that you can pull out of this, you know, talking about the history of Detroit and the political aspects that led to the city being broken down and what we see in the first part of this movie. Yeah, there's so much out of Barbarian that could really make for some good analysis.
Oh, dude, you can talk about, because the movie did a great job with marketing Bill Skarsgård. I remember thinking he was clearly the villain in that marketing. You could talk about how that movie does so well with balancing the humor, like especially when Justin Long begins exploring downstairs and kind of going around and measuring out the property and all that other. It does a really good job with humor. That movie also commentates a lot on how shitty human beings can be in Justin Long's character, and it does it very subtle, which I really appreciate. Really appreciate, because there were times when I picked up on things and my wife didn't, and I was like, yeah, this is they're doing a good job at not putting this in your face, but if you know.
Yeah, it would be fun. I mean, even just the research alone, like there's a lot of stuff that I would love to learn about that could be associated with this. Would be a blast.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. Good pick.
All right, your second one.
So this is the only one I have that has a commentary. And I feel like this is such an underseen movie. I'm going with Summer of Sam, the Spike Lee joint.
Love that movie.
Dude, this movie is incredibly fascinating because in the conversation of true crime, this never gets brought up.
Yep.
And it's crazy because this is a movie that, for being so focused on true crime and our killer, is more a story of identity and a city and the people within it, dealing with the shockwave of consequence that comes from having a serial killer in. So it is a serial killer movie focused more on the, like I said, like that shockwave of it. And to me, what's so interesting about this movie is that the titular, the killer becomes the least interesting part of it. And that's just ingenious or a testament to Spike Lee's genius. Even if you want to look at like Adrian Brody's character, you can analyze his character alone.
Yeah.
Over and over again. John Leguizamo, and this movie shot in beautifully. So to dive into this is one in my pile here that would be, I feel, overwhelming in research, and one that would be like, I feel like I would have a couple anxiety attacks during, but it would be worth the deep dive. You know what I mean? I actually might take that deep dive just for the shit of it. You know what I mean?
Nice.
But yeah, that's my second pick.
I adore this movie, primarily not only because of this, but it definitely excels at being a truly sweaty movie for obvious reasons that have to deal with the plot. But for many movies, they don't go through the process of making people look so lived in and filthy in those moments.
Yeah.
The Cali Kid says the audio commentary track by Greta Gerwig and Barbie is astonishing. Fortunately, it's only available on the Max streaming version, not on disc. Did not know that. Thanks for the donation, Cali Kid. That sucks. I wonder, is it on the UK release? That because sometimes they get more extras than we do.
Man, I want to know who is streaming movies on Max interested in listening to a commentary track.
I mean, hopefully many people.
Yeah, I hope, but that's interesting. That it feels like such a physical media thing to do, like somebody who collects physical media, you know. So I don't think of it. Same with like when when they did House of a Thousand Corpses only on the digital version of the movie.
That's like Netflix a few years ago made a big deal. Knives Out, they gave a commentary to, or the second Knives Out, which I think it's the second one that they did. But they were like, upcoming in 2 weeks, you can stream the audio commentary for this. And I'm like, let's do that for every movie. Why are we only doing it for that? Like, I understand the streaming model to a point, and that we're going to have streaming direct films. Let's treat them properly. A lot of these people's thoughts need to be archived for all time. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely agree.
All right. My next one, you actually brought him up as a filmmaker. I would love, and many people that know me, I've talked about this film far too many times. Red State by Kevin Smith is my favorite Kevin Smith film. And personally, I would love to sit here and set up a commentary where I just moderate with him. And obviously, Kevin Smith is a talker. I probably would only get a couple questions in, but he is somebody that I would love to hear him looking back on this from a decade later and thinking what happened, what came from it, the fallout from it, the marketing behind it, why his style changed so much for a couple films, primarily starting with this movie. But really, I mean, there's so much to cover that happened after this that he probably, if it had happened before he made the movie, probably would have been referenced in some ways, like the shootings down in Texas and a lot of the other things that are just full-blown national tragedies that we know by name, like Columbine nowadays. Obviously, many of those had happened before this came out, but there's been a couple more that I guarantee he would have loved to have had, in the mind of people as they watch this movie. And it does seem that Westboro Baptist Church, now that their leader, Fred Phelps, has been dead for a few years, they don't seem as much of a nuisance. And I say that as somebody that lives like 52 minutes from their headquarters, I believe. So They used to be here all the time. We're talking like a policeman would be killed and they would show up to picket the funeral. I would love to hear Kevin Smith talk about this movie in detail with me, just fangirling with him. And I agree with Kev. I can't remember a time when Kevin Smith has done a commentary since Clerks 2, other than the 4:30 movie that just came out.
Dude, it's funny. I was telling my wife today that he was on the Criterion Closet, and the first comment, because those videos are 5 minutes or less, the first comment was like, release the Kevin Smith cut. There's no way this dude talked for 5 minutes. And Red State is such a cool movie because it feels, for as extreme as that movie seems, I remember the first time I saw it thinking like, I don't know, I could see this happening like right now. Like this could be a true story, and I wouldn't question its reality.
Yeah, none of it is like far-fetched in any way at all.
Yeah. So my next choice is a little extreme. I do want to I want to warn you, because a lot of people don't know about this movie, and the people who do know about this movie have some crazy opinions on it. And the commentary that I would want to do would be with the director, but people are going to be like, this guy's a nutcase. This is a movie that I've fallen in love with. It's The Portraits of Andrea Palmer.
All right.
I bet you weren't expecting that.
No, I mean, when you hear, I was ready to hear the one of the 5 ones that everybody goes to. But yeah, honestly, this is not a bad pick.
No, okay. So this was a complete blind buy for me. I'm not the biggest fan of what Grindhouse does, but I picked this up on a sale because I had heard some things, and because there's another pick in my pile. I'm very open to certain extremities in cinema, right? And like, tell your story. And I'm not one of those people who's I've showed off The Lover, so like, obviously I'm not sensitive to this stuff. And I think Portraits of Andrea Palmer is a movie that is incredibly heavy-handed in a story it's supposed to tell. And it's a movie that's not meant to be glorified as like happy or the movie is dreadful from beginning to end, and it does not shy away from what it wants to do. But it's a movie that also is visually incredibly interesting because of how it was shot. And to me, I'm more interested in getting in the mind of someone who can get to this level and tell this kind of a story. That's what I would want to do. I would just want to sit down with the director and let the movie play. And I believe it was, I'm forgetting, let's see, I'm forgetting her name. And I can't see because I don't have enough light on in here. But yeah, would just love to pick her. I mean, honestly, at this point, I guess I would be happy just sitting down for an hour and 15 minutes and talking to her. But when I was sitting in front of the collection thinking about this question, that movie kept going to me, and I was like, do I pick this? And yeah, because it's a horror movie. It's a incredibly harrowing horror movie. Have you ever seen it?
Yes. It's not bad as far as extreme movies goes, but it's certainly, for me at least, not one that I would rewatch. And it's not just because it's extreme. I've watched multiple extreme movies a couple times, but it's not top tier for me. But I totally get why somebody would truly love it.
Yeah, I mean, there's an audience for it. Like, it has a really nice release, and there was effort put into this, so there is an audience for it. And I've gotten into some forums and seen people who have talked about it. But it's one of those movies that I kind of feel like there's a part of me that heavily believes that film is meant to be challenging, and there needs to be stories that are told in this way, in like this unflinching, unnerving viewpoint to get their point across. And this one just works so well that I would want to sit down and just pick her brain on it.
Ronnie pointed out, Ronnie does a lot to promote TV stuff, so thank you for this, Ronnie. Kevin Smith did a commentary for a Supergirl episode that he directed on the season 2 set, which is super cool. I've honestly not seen the Supergirl show at all yet, but I've wanted to because of his involvement. So thank you. My third pick, this is going to be an interesting one, and I have to ask if you have seen this before I do much. Have you seen One Cut of the Dead?
When it first came out, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to do something that I've not done on the channel before here. If you have never seen One Cut of the Dead, I want you to listen to me right now. And I'm going to tell you to mute your phone, your TV, your computer, whatever you're watching this on. And I'm going to put up this background for disconnected spoilers. And then after I'm done talking about it, I will take this down and go back to the normal one. And then you can unmute it, because this is a movie that you cannot have spoiled for you and enjoy. So One Cut of the Dead. This is my choice. Last chance here. If you haven't muted yet, please mute if you've not seen it. One Cut of the Dead, obviously, is a fake out movie. Like, you watch the first, I don't even think it's a full half hour. It's like 25 minutes or whatever, where they show you this zombie film, and then they show you that they were making a movie and that it wasn't a zombie film, and then they fake you out and all that. I would love to sit here with the round table of filmmakers doing a commentary, just gushing over the filmmaking power behind this movie, because it took so much hard work to do this. I want to get some of the biggest names and just moderate them going, how the fuck did they think to do this? This is incredible. I would so be stoked to just sit in a room of filmmakers giving respect to this tiny indie movie that is amazing, that is like innovative, that is beyond incredible. And if you have, again, not seen it, you are missing something so great. But the power of completely manipulating your audience on purpose and then showing the all the things that you were hiding, but doing it where it looks like it's one cut is so perfect. I can't imagine sitting there with like 3 of the best directors of all time and not just going crazy for it.
Yeah, that's a and there's supposed to be a remake of that.
There is a remake. There's, I think it was like Dutch or German or something. Kino released it.
Okay.
I cannot believe I can do this. I don't know if this is it. I bought it in one of the recent sales. It was not that title, but it's not within arm's reach.
Okay, I just didn't know if the remake did the same.
I believe it does.
Okay.
But I believe it's not quite as well done.
Typical.
Yeah. It's French, says KB.
Okay, it's French. Okay.
And then they did the One Cut of the Dead Hollywood something. I've not seen that new thing that they added to it or whatever. Whatever the original solid like 1 hour film is, amazing, perfect film.
Yeah, it's a good one. Damn, dude, your choices I feel like are blowing mine away.
All right. Spoiler banner's gone. Welcome back, everybody. Turn up your volume. No, my choices aren't blowing anything. I mean, these are all valid. All choices are valid here.
Yeah. Well, I have one. I'm currently reading Naked Theater and Uncensored Horror, which is the Stuart Gordon biography right now.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic because, he's a filmmaker who has an incredibly rich and interesting past, and his involvement from theater into film, I didn't know about, but it's incredible. But one movie of his that I feel like kind of gets overlooked. You have your Reanimator, you have Dolls, you have so much of what he does. But for me, I would love to just sit down and geek out about Castle Freak.
Yes.
The fact alone to have a conversation about shooting this in Charles Band's castle is a crazy thing in itself. This movie to me feels, you have obviously Barbara Crampton's back, Jeffrey Combs back, the typical crew, and they have such an odd relationship here with her distrust of Jeffrey Combs and all. I don't want to get too crazy into it, but I don't want to. I want to sit down with some other big Stuart Gordon fans and kind of talk about how this fits in his filmography, right. Because to me, this movie feels a little more, in a weird way, like prestigious. It's not as funny as Reanimator. It's not as silly as Dolls. It takes itself very seriously. The monster is genuinely scary and unnerving. Yeah, it's really gross. The Jeffrey Combs character is incredibly conflicting, and you feel terrible for Barbara Crampton. It's a movie that is just an incredible piece of his filmography for me, that I want to sit down with just a bunch of other Stuart Gordon fans and talk about kind of how this fits. And the reason I brought that one up specifically, because I love it. And every single time I talk about Stuart Gordon, everyone's like, oh, Reanimator. That's where everybody goes kind of instantly. And nobody talks about Castle Freak. And it's one of the few Gordon movies that doesn't have a commentary already.
Right.
Which is real crazy to me, because it's such a great movie. So
I adore this movie. This movie is gross and fun and so authentic in what it's trying to accomplish. And this is a fun choice.
Yeah. And I wonder too, my thing is that this is one of the non-H.P. Lovecraft adapted, one of the few that Gordon did that wasn't based on that. And for the premise is not incredibly original. You have a monster that has been neglected,
stuck in a castle, hanging out,
stuck in his castle. Yeah. And he's hungry. He gets out and he goes on his killing spree, but it handles it so well.
Yeah.
And it also is like everybody else, and like you said, it's nasty as hell. It still manages to get in the sleaze, at the scene in the wine cellar. It's just such an interesting little moment in Gordon's filmography that I would love to dive into a little bit deeper.
I agree. Yeah, this is a good time. Cali Kid in the chat, thank you again for the donation here. Can we get some audio commentary tracks for Quentin Tarantino, Paul Thomas Anderson, and Scorsese movies? Greta Gerwig commentary and Barbie shows me audio commentary tracks aren't dead. I mean, they're clearly not dead. There's more people doing commentaries now than ever before. I have a feeling we're probably that was not a word. We're probably about to get some Paul Thomas Anderson releases and upgrades for some of his stuff, and it would be the perfect time to get some people in there on those. Yeah, I honestly same. Mike says we wish we could have gotten a Michael Mann commentary on The Keep. If he liked the movie, that probably would have been possible.
There was this interesting period, and tell me if you remember, because I think this was like the Zack Snyder Watchmen era, where directors would typically be a bonus feature, or it would be like a watch along. Where I remember during Watchmen, there was moments where like it would go to Zack Snyder, who was at this table, and then he would break down sequences. Yep. So it wasn't like a full-on commentary, but he would go in. And I feel like that's the level that you would kind of have to get if you're talking about Paul Thomas Anderson or like Quentin Tarantino. I feel like to accurately get a great commentary from them would be pausing the movie and going on for 20 minutes additional about a scene and then playing the movie again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Last Movie Standing brought up that Hush, Mike Flanagan did a video commentary for this release. And honestly, words out of my mouth. What I was going to say right after Chris just said that, instead of the breaking down the scenes, I bring back the whole idea of the picture-in-picture commentary. Bring in, I want to see, the director, the writer, and then maybe like the one or two top-billed stars just sitting on one side of a table and discussing superimposed over the film so I can see what they're seeing. And just shoot the whole thing. If they need to, take a break every 25 minutes. Sure, that's great. You can totally cut. It's not like we're going to complain about that. But I would love to be able to see them talk about it. And honestly, it gives all of us more of an incentive to watch the film again with the commentary other than just listening. Because right now with the whole audio commentary thing, I'm going to shout out my guys in Deaf Crocodile again. We are putting out audio commentaries as podcast episodes. And I wish everybody would do that because now I don't have to sit at the TV and watch the film again. I get the freedom to be able to do it elsewhere. But now if I have the video commentary, there's an incentive. There's like a bonus to sit there and watch them. That almost sounds more fun.
Yeah, I feel like that Hush release was such a like to have multiple cuts of video commentary like that. To me, what Scream Factory and Mike Flanagan did with that was perfection. They brought back things that we haven't seen in a while. When was the last time? Like, we get multiple cuts all the time, but to have 3 radically different cuts, a black and white cut, a brand new Hush cut, the original cut of the movie, video commentaries, like to me, bonus feature and presentation was perfect on that.
And it was a film that not only was like, hey, look at this fancy new edition, it made the leap from streaming to disc, and it was the first time. And that's a huge fucking deal to be able to get something like that.
Oh my God, it's a massive deal. And you can tell, you can just look at that release and tell that Flanagan fucking loves that movie and loved what he did with it. And, first, when I heard he got the rights to it and he was waiting to announce a label, I was like, okay, I have a feeling it's going to be Scream Factory. I was expecting like an Arrow or something like that, but I think Scream Factory handled it really well. And I think that's because they had Flanagan on their side saying, hey, look, we need to put this in and I'm going to invest. Because it's also the director needs to invest the time. The director needs to come back and say, yes, I am interested in doing this or putting in the effort to help you achieve this. And Flanagan clearly did that. And that's very apparent on the final release that we got.
Reservoir wants to point out Mike Flanagan is also doing a commentary movie podcast with movies, cast, and directors, which is awesome. I think I posted about that in the last Physical Media Advocate, or maybe the one before that, like right after they announced it, I was publishing. And so I added it to at the last moment. Stoked that's coming.
His one with radio silence for Ready or Not is incredible. And I actually revisited Ready or Not for that and the fact that he does an episode that's sort of like a conversation beforehand, leading up to the commentary. It's such a great concept.
Cali Kid says commentary tracks are my favorite bonus feature. I think a lot of us would agree. Lately, my favorite is visual essays, but I mean, if I could listen to commentaries anywhere, I would do that all the time. I would never listen to a podcast again. I would just listen to commentaries.
Yeah.
Sibner listening to his favorites are Cruel Intentions and American Pie. Nice. All right. My fourth pick. This one is probably the most silly on my list. But these last two that I'm going to talk about are just simply because I love the movies, basically. And this is the silliest of my five, and that is Tremors 4. This is Tremors 4 Back to Perfection. This is the Old West Tremors that they did, where it's from like the 1800s. And growing up in the desert near like an old silver mining town where I did, and I used to go, we talked about this on your show just a couple days ago, I used to go hang out in the mines and everything. I adore Tremors 4 because I feel like I've lived some of this movie without the monsters. And I want to just talk about the Tremors franchise because it's one of my favorite franchises in horror history. And this one is just fun to have people playing these like ancestral versions of themselves and see the monsters attack people in the 1800s where they don't have technology to deal with things. That is going to be a blast to talk about. So yeah, I mean, we're never going to get commentaries for all of the Tremors films, and I want to do part 4. So let's freaking do it.
Yeah, you think we'll reach the Arrow Video limited edition box set to part 4, or do you think that's already done? Because we have 1 and 2.
I don't think so. I'd like that to be the case, but I mean, once we start getting like Napoleon Dynamite and the weird movie guy from Scream starring in these, that's a little weird for some of these. I love them still. They're cheesy as hell, but yeah, definitely a little weird.
Yeah, I've never seen Tremors 4, so
it's a masterpiece.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it now just because you said that. That's all. Just because you said that. So moving on to my last one, and I want to give context to this one because there's so much. It's see, that's why we watch that's why we listen to commentaries. It's a pure example why we listen to commentaries. There was a weird little period of my life, and we've talked about this box set. We like certain filmmakers are very divisive. People love them, people hate them, but at the end of the day, like, you have to appreciate their vision. And I'm talking about Lars von Trier specifically here. Probably the most divisive, one of the most divisive filmmakers out there. But I remember scrolling on Netflix and coming across this movie, becoming absolutely obsessed with it. While equally, I think this was one of my hardest viewing experiences the first time I saw it. And I'm talking about the double Nymphomaniac movies. Which, like, again, I bet nobody expected this to come into the conversation. We've covered now Portraits of Andrea Palmer and Nymphomaniac 1 and 2.
You know what is great about this is just last night I recorded a show for somebody else's podcast, and one of my discoveries of the year is the Nymphomaniac double feature because I loved this so much.
Dude, there is no... Okay, I mean, if you... To even dive into the extent of storytelling here, this is a movie within 20 minutes, you get a blistering heavy metal score over beautiful rain shots in the beginning, and then you have now you watch the director's cuts, right? You watch the full.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right, good. Within like the first hour of this movie, you have heavy metal. You have Stellan Skarsgård on, I think, his his second feature with Lars von Trier. I know he did Breaking the Waves.
It might even be his third.
And I do want to reply to that comment that just came up. If you watch Nymphomaniac 1 or 2 and get turned on in any remote way, I'm concerned for your mental health.
That's a good point.
Considerably. But yeah, so Lars von Trier is such an interesting filmmaker to me. He's somebody who I feel like you can analyze almost every single frame of his movie and find something to discuss. But it's also the evolution of storytelling through Nymphomaniac 1 to 2, because all the characters carry over. But there's a really interesting trauma and plot that kicks off in part 2 that is devastating. It is incredibly hard to watch. It's told in an unflinching style, but Lars von Trier has a visual style that's kind of like unlike anybody, kind of more in modern day films. Like nothing is to the imagination,
right?
And there is a couple bonus features on the Blu-ray of the director's cut that talks about things like how they addressed the very real sex stuff and how they pulled it off. And that's incredibly interesting from a production standpoint to me, of how you figure this stuff out. To have somebody like Shia LaBeouf in this movie, in the way that he's in this movie, is incredibly interesting. And I don't know who I would want to do this commentary with. I don't know. I feel like I would just want to sit in a room with a microphone and just kind of like go at it as it happens. You know what I mean? Because it's a movie that I've seen now 3 or 4 times. It's a movie I've seen 3 or 4 times, and every single time I see it, my opinion greatly increases, and I find more stuff I didn't see before. And to me, it's a masterpiece that too many people look at on the surface and judge.
Which it's easy to, obviously, especially if you're prudish in any way. And I mean, when the marketing is character posters of everybody doing their own O face, like, he knew what he was doing for this movie.
Oh yeah, the whole idea is get people interested and then fucking stone cold stun them into the floor. You know what I mean? Like there are moments in this movie that are so there's like a 35.
Sorry to laugh. Now you just have me picturing Steve Austin being in.
No, you're like, dude. In Nymphomaniac Volume 1, there's like a 40-minute sequence with Uma Thurman that is so incredibly uncomfortable.
It's so
and it never ends. It keeps going and keeps going to a point where like you almost want to start fast forwarding just to get past. And we talked about horror, like we specifically picked horror movies. Volume 2 to me is a straight up horror movie. It gets really, really, really dark. And if you've seen Antichrist or you've seen Breaking the Waves, it's kind of a perfect combination of the two of those. It really is. And when I was thinking about this, I was like, this is a movie I would love to just sit with a microphone and go on about. I don't know. Everybody look out. Me and Ryan are going to do a commentary on the 4K release of Nymphomaniac 1 and 2.
There is nothing as intimidating as a 4-hour and 23-minute commentary about nothing but sexual taboo topics. It sounds amazing, but also, holy shit, am I intimidated?
We're like, in this scene we're watching here is a montage of different types of dick. This is
so for the next 20 minutes, she's planning on performing this medical procedure on herself.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a truly stupendous pick. Glad to see that it's your last one. What's really funny, like I said, I talked about Nymphomaniac literally last night while sitting in this very chair, but I almost picked as my final pick tonight was almost The House that Jack Built, because that movie is still the one for him that I don't know. I hate to say like it is my favorite film from Lars von Trier because it's so freaking heinous, but it's maybe my favorite film from Lars von Trier, and it's crazy. I mean the way that he gets things on camera and doesn't flinch from anything, and I mean there are certain things in The House that Jack Built that I would want to pause and just discuss the mindset that goes into it. Like I mean, I should almost put up the spoilers banner again for this, but the scene in The House that Jack Built where he poses the two bodies that people, first of all, are shocked that they showed him killing on screen, but then he goes through the trouble to move things and make them look comfortable like a family photo. Like that alone is something crazy to get on camera. And
yeah. Or even that first, and it's not a spoiler, his first kill is, again, it keeps going, and it brings up, it goes against all of the rules of death in cinema, in movies, being like this real quick, like gunshot to the leg and people were dead. And the fact that it just keeps going and going, to even think about that and to break that down is to me, it's almost like the scene when Anton kills the cop in the beginning of No Country for Old Men, how it just keeps going and going. And I remember watching a thing with the Coen brothers talking about how long it takes to strangle somebody. And that was the purpose of that scene. That's why that camera pans down from the ceiling so slow, because they really wanted to sell how long it takes. And that to me is a crazy thought just in itself. You know what I mean? And then to translate that and put that into a movie is nuts.
Terry's asking, so I'll ask, do I start with Dogville or Nymphomaniac? If you've never seen any Lars von Trier, I mean, I would say start with neither one of those. There are, first off, he's done a lot of films, but there's also some that if you watch Dogville or Nymphomaniac first, I fear you may not want to continue into some of the others. I think the likely best answer for this is probably Dancer in the Dark. To
or
feel
Melancholia.
Yeah, it's like you're being welcomed into the family, and then everything else will tear you at the knees, and you'll be stuck there.
Yeah, I think you can really get into Lars von Trier in the opening scene of Antichrist.
So, anyways. My last pick here, like I said, these last two are kind of just movies I love and I want to talk about them. I truly feel like the work of this director is made for me almost. Like it matches all of my sensibilities and I love it. Maybe almost more than anything as a whole from any filmmaker. And we don't have a boutique release of it. And we have a boutique of everything else that isn't just a streaming film now. So I'm going to say, I would love to do, and I'm going to be very specific here, a 4K second sight release of Blue Ruin by Jeremy Saulnier. And I would love to do that commentary with Jeremy and talk about revenge and the South and the area of the country that he is filming in, where it feels like you could have said that was almost any state. And it looks like, that I could see that being in the state. Just magically pulls it off, that it's almost like this locationless setting because it's so nondescript in a way, and it's just green. Blue Ruin is such this harrowing tale of somebody taking a bad morning and dealing with it the best that they possibly could. I truly love the performance in this from somebody that has now turned into himself an incredible filmmaker with Macon Blair. And I would love to hear how Jeremy Saulnier feels now looking back, going from something like Murder Party to this, and then watching things explode for him with Green Room and then less Hold the Dark. But, this year he's got a lot of attention with what he just did on Netflix. And I feel like this is one that now needs a special place on our shelves if we're going to truly appreciate what I think is a modern, truly incredible very unique filmmaker. He has some sort of incredible style. And what's crazy is now that people are discovering Murder Party, you can see pieces of Green Room in Murder Party. You can see like some of the establishing shots that he has in Green Room. He is able to pull that off like in his very first film. I truly think he is somebody that has almost spent his entire career so far as like this fully realized filmmaker. And a lot of people, they need to get there. They need a couple that will help them sort of shake off the ice before they can get into that next level. And he's just always been there. And it might just be me being biased because I love his shit, but Blue Ruin deserves a lot of attention. It deserves to be in the pantheon with great revenge films. And I would love to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's really shocking that we don't have a good release of Blue Ruin. That's incredibly shocking to me.
And I think the blue is even out of print now too.
Yeah, like knowing that we have Green Room on 4K. And I get it, Green Room is more mass appeal, but
right.
Ever since then he's been doing Netflix stuff. And I haven't seen Rebel Ridge yet, but I've heard
it's very good. Yeah,
that's what I've heard. Green Room, he has an incredible sense of and I'm trying to figure out how to put it. There is this in between of time that I feel like a lot of people don't shoot in. So there's this time in between, like with sunset, where a lot of times you see the golden hour, you see the sun. But there's this interesting moment where color seems to disappear. The sky is not as beautiful as it is. Things are getting dark, but they're not fully there yet. And
right.
I feel like Jeremy Saulnier lives there.
Yeah.
Because Green Room consistently feels like that 5:30 a.m. days to me, where like it just feels like a weird hour. And it's such a specific feeling that even me saying this probably doesn't make sense for a lot of people until you watch the movie and you're like, oh, wait a second. I know what this is. Yeah. And it's been a long time since I've seen Blue Ruin. I actually saw it before Green Room on some sort of streaming service it was on something. And I remember thinking it had been a long time since I saw a revenge movie that to me was portrayed so realistic. So
this is another one, like I mentioned earlier, that is just sweaty. These people feel like it's humid here and it's pissing me off. And so I'm extra irritated with what you did to ruin my life. And so now I'm going to park up in this double wide trailer and I got the shotgun ready and you are fucked. And it makes all of it just feel exacerbated. It's more earnest. It's like you can feel the shorts clinging to the back of his knees as he gets out of the truck type of scene.
Yeah. And that's exactly, he did the same thing in Green Room, and same too with his style of violence. Everything feels like real and raw. Like I remember watching Green Room with my wife and then the dog attack.
Yep.
In the venue, I was like, God, this is like, or even Anton Yelchin's arm.
Yep.
Getting cut up. Like it there's just I don't want to say it's realistic because I don't know what that looks like in reality. But to me, it just has an impact to it, and it's that technical approach. It's the sound design. It's how to shoot it. It's how to show just enough to sell it. It's really, that arm scene is.
It's pretty rough.
But even Hold the
sound
Dark,
alone,
dude. I didn't hate Hold the Dark, and I don't really remember it now as much. But I remember still thinking that it lived in this weird in-between that most movies don't as far as visual setting. It lived where the sun just disappears below the horizon. Things are just bright enough for you to see, but not dark enough to see detail. And I remember genuinely being afraid of the wolves I think it was the wolves, right?
Yep.
In Hold the Dark. I remember genuinely being afraid. And it's just like that thing I keep thinking about every single time I watch or hear of Jeremy Saulnier.
Yeah, I mean, I love the way you describe that because absolutely, it feels like the sun just disappeared behind the horizon, and now you've got like any semblance of light left is obscured by trees and buildings, and so you're in this like extra bleak, like almost like bleached out colors, like fading, and you're holding on. It's almost like a desperate time to film. Everything feels like, well, we know it's about to get bad, and that's why these movies feel worse, because you're already feeling the tension of the situation, but also we're about to add dark onto that. Like, we're screwed.
Yeah, but that's something a lot of people don't like. I would definitely encourage people to, when watching movies, like, pay attention to that sort of stuff, because it adds a different. I know it's easy to be like, it's easy to look at movies and say like, oh, they wanted it to look like this, they wanted it to look like that. His movies, for lack of a better word, don't feel lit.
Right.
To me, it feels like natural lighting. When you're in that venue and green room, nothing feels like there is a lighting setup just outside the frame. Everything feels real. It feels like that LED light on the wall that does not have a glass covering is bouncing that way. Yep. And it's all, even outside. Like, if you look at any shot of Patrick Stewart in Green Room, and I keep going back to Green Room because it's the movie I'm most familiar with him, every single shot of Patrick Stewart, every single shot on the outside scenes of Green Room, nothing is like deliberately lit. It's like the light bouncing off of the wall. Yep. And everything's just that weird, even, like you said,
like you're standing there.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it really elevates the movie because it feels real, and it feels kind of, honestly, a bit like uncomfortable. Like, it feels like it's just that weird. You know how people say, "Oh, I love going out at 4 a.m. because, you know, the whole world's asleep." Yeah. It feels like that weird in between time that you're kind of a little uncomfortable in, and the whole movie lives right there.
Yep.
So.
Well, if you are listening and you have not seen any of these, which I'm sure people have seen at least some of them, but if you haven't seen these two specifically, I think Castle Freak and Blue Ruin would make for a really fun double feature.
I think we could go with let's see. I think Blue Ruin and Portraits of Andrea Palmer.
It's a very desperate double feature. Oh man!
Just trying to pick two there. You know what I mean?
We'll say if you want to be like extra horny, Nymphomaniac and Tremors 4. There's a lot of things going into holes in those.
And watch Tremors 4 in between 1 and 2 of Nymphomaniac.
Yeah, it's a palate cleanser.
Yeah,
part 1 and 2.
Yeah, finish volume 1 and then watch Tremors 4 and then go into volume 2 and it'll make volume 2 better. I promise.
Oh man, that is hilarious. Well, we did it. We both listed our 5 incredible choices on your half. Thank you, sir. As a wrap up, reminder to everybody, Chris's show that he just started, literally one intro episode and then one main episode has only been released, Spotify exclusive until next week ish. You can find that link in the description below. Anything else to shout out? That's probably it at the moment, right? Follow him on Instagram. That's also linked below.
Yeah, that's about it. There's a ton of love in here for audio commentaries. So I would definitely, at least, I'm not telling you to sub or follow the show or anything. Just at least check it out. Let us get our bearings. We're still learning how to do this whole thing, and we're still, figuring out the structure and stuff. But we're doing it truly out of a love for commentaries and a love for the genre, and we're really hoping to continue encouraging people to listen to them, and studios to keep investing into them. So
it's a good call. So yeah, Beyond the Blood podcast. I'm excited to see how it grows and moves on from here. Make sure you check it out as soon as you can. Other shout outs for me. Don't forget Shelf Shock Rewind Awards coming up in February. Voting is still open all the way until the end of January. If you are excited about physical media and you want to make your opinion known about things that you love that came out in 2024, now is the time to vote. We are we're nearing the amount of votes already that we got all of last year, and it's not even January 10th. So please get more and more and more of those votes in. I'd love to see the community really step up here. Excited to share that show with you guys. If you love conversations like this, there's a Patreon for the show. We got a Discord that's it's been hopping the entire time we've been live tonight. Lots of comments going on there. You can join the Patreon to get access to the Discord. Link is below. Cali Kid, again, with a very generous donation. What are your 24 movies that are your favorites? Any couple from last year that you want to shout out there, Chris?
The Substance was definitely one. My jaw was on the floor the whole entire theatrical experience, which was great. But my favorite movie of the year is The Bike Riders. I think that movie is perfect beginning to end. It felt very American cinema in a way that we don't get anymore. And I wish more people check that. Obviously, Cali Kid did, and I love that it was part of your favorites list. But I still feel like more people should have checked that movie out.
My top 10 very quickly on my letterbox. You can see this list right now. Number 1, Honora. Number 2, Last Stop at Yuma County. Then we have The Substance. What I think is the most underrated film of the year, Snack Shack. One of my favorites. That's number 4. I Saw the TV Glow is 5. Rebel Ridge all the way up at number 5. Hundreds of Beavers at 6. I missed one. Rebel Ridge was 6. Hundreds of Beavers is 7. Love Lies Bleeding at 8. Femme at 9. And then We Live in Time at number 10.
Oh, We Live in Time. Okay.
Loved that movie.
I did not expect that to be on your top 10, honestly.
Snack Shack is on Hulu, I think. Is it not?
Yeah, I thought that was like a Hulu exclusive.
Yeah. It's a great movie. People should check it out. It's the same guy that did Dinner in America. Adam, I think his last name is Raymeyer. Incredible director. Physical. Not yet, at least. I hope eventually. No, it's not Physical, but it's on Hulu. Check it out. Till next week. Thanks for taking the time, Chris. I know it's late over on the East Coast.
That's okay, man. I'll just stay up till work starts and suffer later.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
No, seriously, thank you, man. I love your show. Love what this does. I'm happy to be here a second time. I'm honored. So thank you.
Can't wait till the 3rd. Have a good night and go listen to Chris's show. He wants you to hear it. We'll see you next Thursday, everybody. Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share with someone else that may appreciate this.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror, we'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, please select the link in the description